What does it actually take to get one of these in the state of Alabama?
So all told, we spent about $400, but this is what we got.
That's a good whiskey. There's a lot going on there.
All right, we should be live. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can see me, TikTok, YouTube, we are live on both platforms tonight. Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Are we looking good? Are we sounding good? How is everything out there in the internet? Hopefully you've got a decent pour tonight. We're going to have an interesting conversation. This is kind of a first for us on this channel, where we're bringing in somebody remotely and we're going to have a little bit of an interview format and a conversation. So we're going to be talking about kind of an interesting topic to me. Not seeing a lot of chat over on the TikTok side. Anybody in TikTok land over there? Let me know. Are we looking good? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Not seeing any comments on TikTok at all. YouTube hears me. Looks like Scotty over here on YouTube is good. Doc says good on both. Nice. Looks great on YouTube. Street Rave. Quantum, it's your favorite dad. Awesome. Jason, I appreciate it. Smokey in the house. Izuku. Looks like we got a full house over here. Oh, there we go on TikTok. I see it. Panther. Josh, Bill Rubin, Jeff Jansen, Christopher, Ketchum. All right. Enjoying a Widow Jane. Y'all let me know in the chat what y'all are enjoying this evening. I'm going to have a little blind. And what's in this blind? I have no freaking clue, because our guest tonight sent these to me with absolutely no information about them whatsoever. And I don't know if there's a theme, if these are expensive, hard to find bottles, if he's like, I don't know if he sent me a bunch of BTAC and then he threw in just an Evan Williams to try to throw me off. Like, we have no freaking clue. And honestly, blind tasting is the way to go. It's a lot of excitement, a lot of fun. But what we're going to talk about tonight is an interesting topic. But what I want you to do is I want you to look at me right here. Look at me right here. What I'm about to talk to you about is not an endorsement. I'm not telling you to go out and spend money on anything, okay? $2,500 is a lot of money, but bourbon clubs are becoming extremely popular, and they interest me. I need a club. I need some in-person friends. As much as I like hanging out with y'all, all I can see are your little pictures in your profiles. I can't really, you know, it's a little bit of a one-sided interaction here. And so a club sounds like a lot of fun to me. And a club that's trying to go big sounds even better. And I know NFTs are, NFTs don't have a particularly good name this day and age. You know, FTX just collapsed. Like, crypto in general is just full of folks taking advantage and scamming. But NFTs have a utility. They have an interesting function. So I want to know more about how that's going to work and how the club in general is going to work. I have dozens of questions, and I want to get to your questions as well. But remember, not necessarily an endorsement. They didn't pay me to come on this stream. They did offer to give me a membership because our clout is obviously on the rise. We're starting to get a little clout. People offering us cool stuff because y'all watch these streams. So I appreciate that. We're going to accept that membership. We're going to give it a try, but literally, all they've offered, not taking any cash to try to recommend anything. I just thought it's a cool idea, and I thought it'd be a fun conversation. So with that out of the way, let's have a little conversation. So what we're talking about here today is Bourbon Heads. I've got Brett here from Bourbon Heads going to join us. Brett, if you would, introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what Bourbon Heads is all about.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me. It's fun to talk with you. I've been in on these lives many times as a watcher and a consumer, so it's fun to have a conversation and get to know you a little bit. So for those of you who don't know me, which is probably most of you, my name is Brett. I'm one of the co-founders of Bourbon Heads, which is a lot of things, but at its crux, it's the first members-only bourbon club where the membership is a non-fungible token on the blockchain. So we're doing things a little differently. There's lots of bourbon clubs out there, but we really set out to make the first blockchain-based bourbon club, and we can kind of talk more about what that means.
I mean, why, I guess, is the question, right? Like, bourbon is Bourbon's old school. A lot of folks I know that are into bourbon, not particularly high tech. I know there's a high tech component, or there's some overlap to that, to those markets. But like, why go through some sort of high tech thing? Why can't I just get a membership card with my name on it?
Yeah, so there's a few reasons, right? Well, I guess two main reasons. So one, the idea came to me actually one night. One of my good friends, he is one of the largest whiskey collectors in the world. So he's got a collection of over probably 8,000 or 9,000 bottles valued at anywhere between $9 or $10 million.
I need friends like that.
I know, right? If you go to our TikTok channel, you can see videos of his vault in Oklahoma City. But for me, it was the thing about NFTs and the blockchain that really intrigued me for the application to a bourbon club was this idea of fractional ownership. And so what I saw was people applying, like you said, the real life utility of an NFT to an in real life experience or some sort of asset. And to me, I was like, wow, that really makes sense in the context of bourbon, and specifically my bourbon collecting community experience to this point. And what I mean by that is two things. One, I thought to myself, a lot of people get into bourbon and this kind of lifestyle community that we live for one of two reasons. One, it's the shared friendship. You meet people that are awesome and have a shared passion like you and I do here tonight. We would never be talking on this live if it wasn't for this silly brown juice that we both enjoy. And so you make some lifelong friendships through whiskey. And the other side of it for me was this idea of collecting. Like, I love the hunt. I love the idea of amassing a set of bottles that are worth something that maybe other people have, maybe some people don't. And so the application of the NFT itself, the idea really started as like, could we build the world's largest and most valuable bourbon collection that is fractionally owned by all the token holders in the club? And so that was sort of the genesis of the idea, was saying, from a whiskey collection standpoint, most of us will never have the money, the time, the resources, whatever it might be, to build the type of collection that my friend Dwayne has. But together as a community, we could build a collection that's world renowned and all own a piece of it. And that was really interesting to me. And the blockchain and this token technology really enables that. The second piece of what intrigued us about NFTs specifically applying to a bourbon club was kind of the validation and the authentication around it being hosted on the blockchain, and us being able to give very exclusive, very private, very secret experiences to our members only. And so, the other side of the club is we've got this shared members collection, and then we are opening up all of these member-only locations, speakeasies, tasting rooms, where people can actually come and access these world-renowned whiskeys and try them and drink them and build great friendships like what we found here.
All right, so now that we've got the technology stuff out of the way, let's talk about bourbon and the club, right? Like, it's first, before we get into that though, is there anything you want to tell me about this blind I'm going to be trying here? Is there any theme you want to share, or should I just get into it and then figure it out later?
So there is not necessarily a theme. I guess two themes. One, what I had open in my Airbnb, because as I told you before the live, we have been in a moving process for about 4 months. So this is just what I had on hand. But they're also some of my favorite personal pours from recent years. And so it's all stuff that I really enjoy. It's stuff that I thought maybe you've had, and if you have had it, you probably enjoy it too. And if you haven't had it, it was a good chance to share some of my favorites with you. So that's really the only theme.
All right.
So I say I don't know how you want to do it, but I think ranking them is always fun. Trying them blind, and then I can tell after. But I'm down to do it however you want.
Yeah. I'm gonna rank them. I'm just like, that one smells really good. 2 smells exceptional. Like, honestly, that smells like it might be a Pappy's. I'm gonna be honest with you. Smells like it might be. It has that sniffer. If I'm going with 5, that gives me like, it could be a finished whiskey, but honestly, it could be one of the birthday bourbon releases. So I'm like, is he sending me Oh, I don't know. The noses are throwing me off. There's some interesting noses here. They smell like some expensive whiskey, so they ought to be good. It'll be fun to find out if they smell and taste like expensive whiskeys, and then they're not. That's when it's the most fun, because realistically, it's not about the price tag.
Yeah, it's really not. But I will tell you, I would not come on a live to talk about a club where we're promising people access to world-renowned whiskeys and then give you something that I couldn't stand behind. So it's going to be stuff that I think you'll enjoy.
Understand. Okay, so fractional whiskey ownership. Like, how does that work? If I'm a club member and I've bought into this club, I'm part of it. It's just a one-time fee.
That's right. It's $2,500. So the day that we mint, we will price it. We're built on the Ethereum blockchain, so it will be priced in Ethereum. But we are pricing it the day before as close to $2,500 USD as we can. So there's one of two different ways. We are giving you the opportunity to connect a crypto wallet such as MetaMask or Coinbase and pay in Ethereum. Also, what's cool about our mint, which will be on November 30th, we announced on Monday. Mint day for public mint is November 30th. But we also built in this cool technology that allows you to check out with a credit card, which sounds funny to say that's a technology because that's how we all shop like 90% of the time. But in terms of like minting NFTs, it's actually relatively new. So if you've never bought crypto before or you've never minted an NFT, you can actually just check out using a credit card, and we do all the work in the background, creating your wallet using just an email address, and then we email you the credentials. So if that's an environment that scares you or a task that you're unfamiliar with, we're making it super easy, because most of our community on our wait list and in our Discord and everything, they've never bought an NFT before. So this will be the first transaction that they really do on the blockchain, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible.
But then what do I own? Like, I've given you money. It's a one-time fee. Do I own like however many, thousands of these you mint percentage of all of the bottles? Like, what does that grant me?
That's right. Yeah. So when you own an NFT, typically there's one way that you can sell it. And NFTs to this point, you mentioned this in your intro, they've gotten a bad rap and they're very speculative because it's like, the question arises, what really is this, right? And in most of the use cases, it's been, okay, it's this crappy piece of art that like a 2-year-old could draw, right? In most applications. So how you sell that, most NFTs to this point, is you go on a secondary trading platform such as OpenSea, which is the most popular one, and you list your NFT for sale, or people bid on them, and then they're transactable on the blockchain. So you can peer-to-peer sell your NFT for whatever price you set or whatever price is agreed upon in the marketplace. So that's one way with a Bourbon Heads membership. There will only ever be 5,000 memberships available to the public. And so once they're sold out, supply and demand would dictate that those will be worth more than the $2,500 that we're charging. So you can sell it peer-to-peer like you could any other NFT. The cool thing about it is the shared members whiskey collection actually backs the value of your membership token. And so what I mean by that is, at any point that you want to sell your membership back to the club, we will actually buy that membership back from you for 1/5500th of the value of whatever the portfolio of whiskey is valued at that quarter. So you look at whiskey over the last 10 years, it's appreciating at about 54% a year for a high-end luxury good. And so over the next 10 years, and if you join our Discord, you can see the full projections of what we anticipate the collection being. But day one, we'll spend $3 million on whiskey after we mint, and that will seed the collection. And then over time, the appreciation of whiskey continues to grow the value of the collection. And then the other really cool piece about why we built this as an NFT is because anytime an NFT is traded peer-to-peer, it generates a royalty for the original creator. And so the club, anytime the tokens are exchanged or sold, we will make a 10% royalty on that sale, and 100% of the royalties that are generated from the tokens being traded on the public market will be reinvested back into the collection of the club to continue to grow that asset that's actually backing the members' investment.
And for those that are watching, we're going to get through my questions on this, and then we're just going to talk whiskey and answer y'all's questions, whether the questions about this or whatever. We'll get through my questions here pretty quickly as I'm trying and ranking these different bourbons. Then I'll go through and talk about these, why I ranked them where I did, and then this will devolve into kind of a normal stream where we're more interactive with y'all, and Brett and I'll answer all of your questions. So, all right. So I bought in. I own a fractional ownership of these bourbons. Are they not opened? I mean, are we just looking at them? Are we collecting? Am I coming up there and drinking them? Like what? I don't have a collection. I have a selection. So, like, what is this? Is this a collection or a selection?
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. It is a collection. We are trying to build a world-renowned collection, so many of the bottles will not be opened. Many of the bottles will be opened, though. So we're taking kind of the economics of the collection that I just explained with the appreciation and the reinvestment of the royalties, and we're using that to rotate bottles into what will be the members-only speakeasies, where you have to have a token to get into these tasting rooms and speakeasies to try these whiskeys. And so our goal really is equal asset collecting and equal community in trying great whiskey. The business model, the economics of the collection, though, just support us being able to do that at that $2,500 one-time fee, where we're not charging you for those pours over and over again. So our promise to our members is that when you walk into a members-only tasting room or speakeasy, you're drinking that bottle at whatever the original MSRP is. So if that's a 1977 Wild Turkey and the original MSRP was $9, that's what you're going to drink it at on a per pour basis. If it's William LaRue Weller, that might be $1,500 secondary, but it sells the MSRP on is $99. We're going to sell that at a per ounce price of $99 to our members. So it is really a way where the lifestyle, the community, the actual trying and drinking from the great selection is actually more affordable once you're in the club versus going to a bar and paying, $120 for a pour of some of those bottles.
So you have basically this stock or collection, and then the tasting rooms that you're going to be doing are more where it's kind of a club, a member only, go in there and you're actually able to get the pours at a reasonable price.
That's right. Yep. And in a lot of instances, those pours will actually be gift charge for members. So you'll walk in there, you won't pay a dime to drink some of those high-end allocated whiskeys that we're all looking for.
Okay. That's interesting. Now, my concern, though, is, I mean, first of all, there's some comments here, like it's a non-regulated whiskey ETF. It is a bit speculative as well. Like you're just assuming that whiskey's going to continue to go up. I mean, we're absolutely 1,000% in a whiskey bubble. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Like, I'm not saying it won't continue to go up or that whiskey won't be more valuable in the future, but Lord have mercy, if you look at secondary prices, I don't think anybody would deny that there's at least a bubble going on right now. So my concern is ongoing revenue. Like if you sell a bunch of these things up front and it's wildly successful and awesome, nobody will sell it. Like, why would you sell it? So, it seems like your ongoing revenue model is based on people actually continuing to trade these things for that 10% commission. So how do you survive year 3?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we get that a lot. So a few things that are really cool about the platform is, one, members can actually lease their tokens. So say we have a speakeasy in Louisville, Kentucky, let's just say, and chances are probably the majority of our members are not in Louisville, Kentucky. Maybe they're only going to be able to visit a speakeasy location of ours 2 or 3 times a year. On our website, you'll actually be able to put up your token for lease to somebody who's going to be in that area and wants to come into one of our properties and tasting rooms. And that will actually generate revenue for the members in the sense of whatever the fee that they want to set on leasing their NFT token is. They make the money from that, and we make a 10% royalty of that. But the bigger piece of it too really is we have significant private funding around this club as well. So the mint at 5,000 public tokens will bring in about $12.5 million. Fully leveraged on the business side of it, we have another about 36 million, 38 million in capital committed to launch this thing. And so, at its scale and at its full mint out, it's about a $50 million portfolio that we'll have under management. And so what we plan to do with that is actually go out and make acquisitions of either hospitality or real estate that we can piggyback these clubs into and sort of, I guess for lack of a better term, like Trojan horse them with whatever business that we own. And so an example of that might be one of our partners owns a bar in Oklahoma City that will likely become a Bourbon Heads location, right? We'll go and acquire that whiskey bar, that cocktail bar from him. The bar itself will stay public, but there's an upper room that will turn into a members only speakeasy. And so what that allows us to do is it allows us to have a front facing, public facing, revenue generating business. And now because we own that in our portfolio, we're able to serve member interests and member benefits by attaching the members only piece of that location to a business that's just your everyday cocktail bar. And so, there really isn't at the end of the day, like a huge need to generate a ton of revenue to deliver these things. And that's what we think is really cool is essentially we can go build that portfolio. Our long-term plan is 25 to 30 different properties that our members can visit throughout the United States. And all of those will be self-sustaining locations based upon this initial investment that we make.
Now, will they be self-sustaining locations, or will they be these Trojan horse kind of piggyback locations? Because that's a different, like if you got a buddy that's got a bar and he's got a room in the back and you could do that, or you could show up at the bar and prove that you've got the NFT. Well, that's one level. Like all you need is shelf space to store the whiskey. But if you have a physical location with a bartender there at all times, like that's just a different level of monetary commitment.
Yeah, so we will actually own both properties. So we will own the public-facing cocktail bar, and that will be anybody can go in and drink from that bar, and the revenue from that will sustain the real estate kind of physical location side of it. And what I mean by Trojan horse is not really like it's this secret like thing, but more of just it is attached to this normal everyday business that's cash flowing and that's self-sustaining itself, and where it's not costing the club anything to be there because it's the same ownership
But
group.
yeah, you will own the bar as well. Now, does a person that owns the NFT own a fraction of the bar, or is that completely separate?
They do not, because that's separate funding, that's separate leverage that we're using to build out that portfolio. The speakeasies and the tasting rooms and the member locations will just be attached to those because it's the same ownership group.
Okay. We've got a couple of questions here in the chat. I wanted a clarification over on YouTube for Jason. He just says, pay $2,500 to be able to buy a $99 pour of William LaRue Weller. Could get one at the Louisville airport yesterday for $70. Now, what you're saying, though, is that not $99 a pour. It's the equivalent of $99 for the bottle if you wanted to get it. So basically, what are there, 22 pours in a bottle like that? Or actually 22... It's not even 22 pours, 22 ounces. How many ounces?
25. It's just
25.
Yeah, just over 25 ounces.
So if I wanted a 20, if I wanted to say it's 25 ounces, you're talking about $4 an ounce. If I wanted a 2-ounce pour, it'd be $8.
That's right.
Okay. So it's the math like that, not, $99 for a pour. It's more like whatever that bottle costs MSRP divided by 25 is what you would pay for an ounce of it.
That's correct.
Yeah, Southern Spirits had a really cool thing they were trying to do with NFTs as well. They were going to do kind of a club around allocated products, and I think that just kind of fell through because of questionable legality around selling or distributing alcohol in that manner. And correct me if I'm wrong there, Southern Spirits, but it was a really cool idea, which was the first time that it really got me thinking about NFTs and bourbon. But their question is, what's the collection currently as is, or is everything going to be purchased after the mint?
Yeah, so everything will be purchased after the mint. Collectively between the founders, we have about 10 or 11 million in whiskey in our private portfolios, which will shift over to the club as well. But we will spend $3 million from the mint acquiring the initial whiskey for the collection. So none of that exists today. This is very much a ground floor. You are getting in before anything exists, which is kind of how NFT communities work. But yeah, we'll go out and we'll acquire that all day one.
Next question from the chat. Mike Mann over on TikTok. Will the directors team that are managing this portfolio NFT be paid?
It's a good question. So right now we have a community manager who is paid. Yes. He will be paid through, things, that revenue that the club generates, but he's our only employee as of this time.
But when it, like, after you mint, is the anticipation to have like a board of directors or ownership group that is paid? I think that's the question.
Correct. Yeah, and we'll be paid through the real estate investments and the hospitality acquisitions that we make on the backside.
Okay, so basically the kind of auxiliary business off of this.
Correct. That's right. Yep. So there's essentially the hospitality real estate business. There's the club. Nobody will make any money off of the club. We'll make our money is through the acquisitions and the separate businesses that we're using to fund those club locations.
Hatavai over on TikTok says, "What happens when the money runs out?"
We don't anticipate that happening. If you want to see the business model, it's either on our website or it's in our Discord, but it's pinned to one of our channels. If you go on our website, you can find our Discord channel there, and you can find all the financials and the projections there.
Like I get the idea that you've got these restaurant and bars that will keep this more sustained. I like the model. Like, the theory is, if these things are successful, then the collection continues to grow, the value goes up for everybody. Like it's a reasonable model that may work, but it may not. Like you have to. I mean, you can not think that's going to happen. It can still happen.
Sure.
I didn't think I was going to get fat, and I'm very obviously fat. So, like, shit happens. So, like, what happens? Like, is there an actual documented plan of what happens when the music stops?
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of the model is, at the end of the day, your token is still worth what the whiskey is worth, right? So even if everything goes to zero, once a quarter, you can submit to sell your token back to the club. Every club member has access to the portfolio and the values on the portfolio and can see in real time what whiskey is in that portfolio. And so, say in 5 years, the money runs out and the whiskey portfolio is worth $15 million. Everybody cashes out. We all go home and everybody's happy, right? Because their investment was protected by the asset of the whiskey.
So the asset would be liquidated and everyone would get an equal distribution based on the tokens that they own.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
And that can happen. I mean, that's not like just a doomsday scenario. If you wanted to be a member of this club for a year, and then in a year you say, hey, I'm going to go on the Bourbon Heads website and I'm going to log in and I'm going to submit this claim for my token to be sold back. You can do that literally anytime that you want.
Here's a good question here from the doc over on YouTube. And this may be a loophole you're going to have to plug right here. Doc's like me. Doc's found a system already. He's like, how do I exploit this system?
Yeah, that's a great question.
If I pay $2,500 and I'm in this club and I show up to the speakeasy, and you've got a Pappy 23, 22 sitting there, that's what, $100 and something bottle. Can I just pay you $100 something and take the bottle?
Yeah, so you cannot. I see why you would want to do that. I would want to do that too. Frankly, if there's a place that you can do that, let me know, because I'm 100% in. So we have a system, and you can read about this in our club charter, which again is in our Discord channel. If you get on our wait list at bourbonheads.com, you'll get all this stuff, all these documents and stuff that I'm talking about. But in our club charter, it outlines basically the rules for consumption. And so what we've developed this system that basically indicates, depending on the level of bottle, how much of that bottle and how frequently from each bottle a member can drink from per token. So we will actually track the consumption from every bottle at the token level. So, TJ, if you say, hey, I was in this club, I want to see my history of what all I've drank as a member of Bourbon Heads, we'll actually can show you all the specific pours and how many ounces that you've drank from every token. So every single pour from the bottle is authenticated by a wallet and by a token. And then associated with those are certain limits. So like if it's a Pappy Van Winkle 23, you may be able to drink 1 ounce per visit. If it's a Willet 25 over 100 or a 1978 Hirsch 20 year, that may be a 1 ounce lifetime pour. 25 members get the chance to try that very rare whiskey. So it does vary depending on the bottle.
Okay. We've got a few questions in the chat. I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as possible. I mean, I think I know the answer, but I've got the guy here. Why answer? And I think we covered this a little bit, but how will they continue to grow stock new speakeasy locations?
How will they what?
How will you continue to grow or stock the new speakeasy locations? And I think the answer was that, I mean, those are going to be for-profit businesses with a speakeasy attached to them for the most part. But like, is that really the plan? Is the for-profit business continues to grow and continues to fund adding these more, other different speakeasy locations?
That's right. Yeah, the for-profit businesses continue to reinvest. We continue to leverage those businesses into more locations. As far as the actual collection goes and what members will be able to try from a very high-end perspective, it's all the royalties that are generated by the tokens being traded and or leased. And so when you look at successful token clubs, they're generating, anywhere from, $200,000 to $300,000 a quarter off of their royalties. And in some cases, those don't even enable leasing like we will. And so every dollar from those royalties gets reinvested back into the club. So as you're a member, you're looking at that going, man, we get every dollar reallocated into bottles that are then going to circulate into the speakeasies that we can try and that we can enjoy.
Darren over on TikTok says, I think it's the same question. If you're breaking even on the open bottles, where are you making money other than the initial purchase? So Darren, I think you may have missed that. The plan is to have a separate ownership group that funds for-profit bars and maybe restaurants that then have the speakeasy attached to them in most cases. That an accurate statement, Brett?
That is an accurate statement. Yeah, and I'll give you one example of that actually. So we're doing diligence right now on a storage unit location. So that would be an example of a real estate investment that our group would make, where our plan is to have this solid cash flowing storage unit facility under our ownership group, and then we will renovate 20 units out of that storage facility to make a members only speakeasy where you only know where that is, you only know where that great whiskey is if you're a member of the club. And so that's kind of just one example where you would say, cool, this storage unit facility is a great business and we get the privilege of having a member speakeasy in there because it's the same ownership group.
Like what city would that be in? What city are you buying a storage unit in?
I can't disclose that yet. What I can tell you is when we mint, we will look at the 5,000 members that buy on mint day, and we will do a study. And I can tell you that the first 10 locations will be based upon where the member density is highest. So we've done some studies based upon, we have about 4,200 people on our wait list right now. And so we've kind of done some studies on there and started to do some due diligence in those markets. But that's just one example of the type of property that we would buy. It will either be a bar cocktail location or kind of a real estate heavy investment like that.
My question instantly goes, as a small business owner, my questions instantly go to, you have a speakeasy in a town where you have a limited number of members and random people may show up. And you have to have a bartender there at all times, or at least some logistics around. I can't just walk in and take all of the bourbon and go home with it. So if it's not attached to a for-profit business, is there very limited hours? How do you make something like that? Do I have to make a reservation ahead of time so to have somebody there to serve us? How does the logistics of that work?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I mean, I think you touched on a couple things. One, because they are attached to for-profit businesses, there is a sense of staffing there already in place in that entity, in that business. For some of them though, and I don't know, some of you may have been to this place, but there's a couple different clubs like this. The most famous one is JB's Whiskey House in Nashville. Some of you may have heard of it, but it's actually wild how self-sufficient and self-policing it is. They set the rules, they set the consumption rules. It is self-serve. There are very strict guidelines and policies and courses of action for people that break those rules. And with all the other community managers that we've talked to that run a terrestrial whiskey club not on the blockchain, it's actually amazing how above board their members follow those rules because they don't want to get kicked out. And there is a sense of you're investing $2,500 in this thing. And so I think that level of buy-in, most of the members that we've talked to, there's a sense of ownership already in the club where they want this to be the best thing that it can be. And so there is a level of trust there, and it will vary per location. But what I can tell you is some of them, there will be a bartender there pouring you your pour. Some of them, you'll be in a room by yourself and you'll pour your own whiskey, and there'll be a set of rules for you to follow. And at the end of the day, we'll know if you break them. And that's another advantage of being built on the blockchain is there is all these validations around who, what, when, and where. And so it becomes really easy to monitor.
That makes sense. We got a lot of questions stacking up, so I'm going to try to get through the TikTok ones and then jump over to YouTube. So let's go. We want to get the answer, but let's go short answer on this, right? The abridged. Yeah. Mega Moose asks if you have an Elijah Craig 18. I'm assuming they're asking me if I have an Elijah Craig 18. Yes. With only 5,000 members, how do you plan on having a group function across the nation?
Yeah, TBD. There will be national festivals. I can tell you there's a mobile speakeasy that we have in development already. So we will come to you and we will hit members all across the nation. Bourbon Notes, Kevin, what's up? RV, can I drive? Yes. Speaking of mobile speakeasy, Kevin Carlson of Bourbon Notes, you're in as the driver.
How many tokens can you own?
You can own as many as you want. You can mint up to 4 at a time. So unlimited number of memberships.
How do you liquidate $15 million in whiskey at once?
You don't. There are processes around that, but what I can tell you is we have relationships with some of the biggest auction houses in the world that have valued our existing collections as owners.
How are ledgers of member transactions being secured?
On the blockchain. One of the many advantages to this being an NFT.
What is the rate of growth expected nationally? Bourbon drinkers are nationally located. I mean, you're not expecting growth at all. Like, it's a limited club, right?
Correct. We're not going for growth. There's only ever going to be 5,000 members.
C. Bell's asking a very specific question. You had mentioned that the actual, like, for-profit businesses will have separate funding, but they're asking specifically, does the $2,500 buy-in help pay for any of the storefront for-profit businesses?
It does not. It gives us leverage to go and borrow against and to raise private capital from, private equity, high net worth individuals that we have on our investor group.
So it doesn't pay directly, but you're leveraging it. Like you're using that as collateral to then
Correct.
take out money to build those.
Yep,
okay,
that's
so
right.
So you're taking money from members, you're buying assets, bourbon, and then you're borrowing against those assets to build for-profit businesses.
That's right.
Okay, so here's my question. We asked earlier, what happens if the music stops? The money quits flowing and everything shuts down. And you said you're going to take the assets, you're going to liquidate them, and you're going to distribute them to people based on the tokens. But realistically, all of those are actually collateral for the loans that you took out. So they're going to take their share first, right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. When I say assets, the asset of the whiskey itself backs the token, not the asset of the for-profit businesses.
But the asset of the whiskey also backs the loans that build the for-profit businesses, do they not?
No, they don't.
Okay. So what are you using as collateral to I mean, it just sounded like you were using the assets as collateral to take out loans to build the for-profits, and that's not an accurate statement.
The cash assets. So the $12.5 million that's brought in will be used as collateral to go take out the private loans, private equity to build the locations.
Okay, so if the music stops, all the cash is gone, but the whiskey that was bought will be liquidated.
Correct.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, trying to keep up. The questions are coming in. Great questions, guys, by the way. Fantastic questions. I'm going to get a couple more on TikTok, and then I'm going to jump to YouTube. I leased my token, and person that leased tried a once-in-a-lifetime pour. Can I not try it now? So are you limited by what pours you can get, or is it like that's an interesting, like, I'm going to expand on that a little bit, Whiskey GPS. So, like, I can't go in and I can't take the whole bottle of Pappy.
That's right.
So there's some sort of limit. I don't know if we go into exactly what the limits are, if you've got an idea what that is, but so if I leased it to somebody else and they go in and they try something, and then 4 months from now, lease is over, I go in, like, am I limited to that much on that bottle, or is it so much per day across the bottles? Like, how does the limitation work?
Yeah, so it's kind of a range. It ranges anywhere from a half ounce ever per wallet to 2 ounces per visit per wallet. And so it is not, if you lease your token, it doesn't preclude you from trying that same bottle because it's tracked at the wallet level. So every wallet ID is stored as far as consumption goes. All we do is validate that that wallet ID contains a valid token. And so from a leasing perspective, one day that token may be in your wallet ID. The next day, once the lease is over, it gets transferred back to mine. It can still authenticate that privilege through the unique wallet ID.
So per visit is an interesting term. So first of all, if I go in, I only can have 2 ounces and I'm done. Like I'm assuming maybe there's some cheap pours. You got some Wild Turkey 101. I can hang out and have a few more drinks, right? But the limited stuff,
right? Of certain
ounces.
bottles, yes.
But what defines a visit? I could leave and come back.
It's on a per day basis.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
All right, let me jump over to YouTube and see what's up with the questions over here. Chazman, interesting idea, but not for you. Understand that. Yeah, again, I think we got the bottle question answered. Yeah, that's a good question there. Was it D. Bilby? Just saying that in a time where all crypto companies are in financial question, anything associated with crypto looks suspect. Like it just elicits questions. If this is an NFT, like if this were just a membership card, you'd probably get a lot less scrutiny at this point.
Yeah, we've literally had people tell us, like, if this was not an NFT, I'd be in, but because it is, I'm not. There's advantages and disadvantages for sure.
Mr. Salty says, is there a discount if I buy more than one membership at startup? There's
not, no.
Yeah, Smokey, the professionals are always, we leave the measuring for professionals around here at the Brewzle Atrium Bar here, and the professionals definitely measure. Coleman says, would these background bars and restaurants be existing businesses bought out? Is there a contingency plan to keep the club if the bars and restaurants fail? Good question, Coleman.
Yes, so part one of your question is most of them will be existing acquisitions of existing, hospitality and or real estate concepts. Yes. What was part two of the question?
Is there a contingency if they fail? Like, does the club die if those for-profits die?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think that member meetups, member events, festivals, all those things will still continue. And at the end of the day, like we talked about before, the contingency plan is really the asset of the whiskey. That's really what we feel is backing this whole thing, and we're confident in that continuing to grow.
DC, only tokens they use were at Chuck E. Cheese. Hank Williams says just do after hours bars. Understand. Smokey says, how do you buy $3 million in whiskey? Are you having to pay secondary for all these bottles, or do you think you'll be able to get them at MSRP?
It'll be about 50-50. We have a lot of distributor, a lot of private relationships. Some of it will be full secondary. Most of it will be somewhere in between. When you're buying at that high of volume, you tend to get pretty good deals.
Smokey says, are you using something like Bartender to measure the pours, or is it just kind of the honor system?
No, there will be specific measurement of pours for each different thing. So we don't completely have that figured out yet, but it will be willy-nilly grab the bottle and eyeball it.
Brewzle Will jumping into the chat. Will, hopefully things are going well. Will has been out this week, and you'll notice that the videos are like a day late that I was supposed to be releasing them because he uploads our videos for us. But he is like hanging out across the pond. The man is over in Thailand right now having a good time. All right, so let's see. McWhiskey, I'm going to kind of paraphrase the question here, but it says it sounds like a timeshare a bit, right? Like you're leasing out tokens to others. Well, okay, so basically, like, you're trying to sucker people into an experience they wouldn't have otherwise, which honestly, experience is important to me, so I don't necessarily find it suckering to get people into an experience they wouldn't have otherwise. But I think the valid concern here is that like leasing out tokens may actually ruin it for the members, the other members that paid.
Yeah, I think The one thing I would say on that, I think it's a fair assessment. I don't necessarily think it's a crazy comparison. What I will say is the club is not the one necessarily benefiting from the money generated by the leasing. It's the actual individual member. So, it'd be more like you leasing out your vacation property on Airbnb than it would be a timeshare. It's just you own that house and you're letting somebody else come stay at the lake for the weekend.
All right, moving down the questions here. Jack Rice says it was mentioned that some of the bottles were going to be sourced from your personal collection. Is a third party going to mark the price, or do you set the price?
Yes, so we will actually have a third party auditor audit the values of the collection every quarter, and they will publish the values of the whiskey. So all of our members at any time will be able to see what we acquired the bottle for and what it's worth today, and that will all be done independently of the founding team.
We've got the tough question. I hope you don't mind the tough questions, Brad. Were you ready for the tough questions?
Absolutely. I get these all the time.
Because they keep getting tougher. All right, so Emoximoo here on YouTube says 3 million invested into bourbon, 5,000 members. That's only $600 return on investment minus appreciation. Should you decide to sell? Should it all liquidate and fall apart? And he says it seems like a club to bankroll others' investment goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's fair. The value of the collection will be about 30% of the mint to start with. If this is something that you're looking to buy, that if community and the consumption aspect of why you're buying this investment is not a big part of the reason, I would say it's probably not for you. It is a long-term play from the actual asset backing. When you look at our projections, it takes 3 or 4 years for us to get back to the original value of the mint from a whiskey collection collateral standpoint. So it is allowing us to achieve some investment goals. However, our hope is that you see the value in the member-only locations and the access to these once-in-a-lifetime pours that you may not be able to get elsewhere. If that connection is not there, I would say probably not for you.
All right, jumping over on TikTok and rolling through the questions. I'm way behind over there. We're going to try to get through these as fast as we possibly can. The Hamburglar says, Jesus loves me, homie. Thank you. I appreciate it. Tell Jesus thank you as well, if you could, for me. Bourbon Heads RV, we got that one. For clarity and scope, would you see this as a restaurant bar ownership group issuing memberships? So I'm going to clarify on that. No, because the token doesn't own any of the restaurant bar. They own the bourbon collection. That's it. Accurate statement?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's more similar to your local whiskey bar issuing you a member or your local country club issuing you a member, right? It gets you access, but it doesn't mean you own the golf course.
So you technically don't own the bourbon?
No, you do own the bourbon. You don't own the hospitality location that you're going and facilitating those experiences in. Yeah.
Because I think the next question is similar to supermarket membership savings, not actual ownership of the real estate. So you don't own the real estate. You own the assets, the bourbon that was purchased, at least in the collection, not the selection. I mean, once it's open, realistically, it's not worth a whole lot.
Correct. Once it's open, it is valued at zero, which is outlined in our charter as well. Yep.
What if I bring my friends? Bourbon is a social event.
Yep. So every membership, you get one guest to bring with you per visit. So, which is actually different. We didn't lay it out that way when we launched our wait list. We got a lot of feedback that was kind of in that same vein, which is I want to bring my wife, I want to bring my buddy, I don't want to go by myself. And so we actually did change what that looked like, and now you can bring one person with you.
So you could get two 2-ounce pours if you bring somebody with you.
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. Trying to catch up here. C-Town, can you buy crypto with it and come and go with other funds? This is not a token. This is an NFT. So this is you own an asset, not a token.
Correct. So it is an NFT. When I say token, I'm referring to the NFT.
As a member, could we? Okay, so I got the guest. So Boston Texas calls it a Ponzi. I don't think it's necessarily a Ponzi. The value. So a Ponzi basically means you've got to keep getting investors to make it work. And so, like, they're building a for-profit business. So you could not like it. Like, I get that. I completely understand how you could not enjoy or like or support the business model. But I don't think it's a Ponzi necessarily, because they are building a for-profit business to try to support this club. And the benefits that you get from it, and the future revenue that they can generate from those tokens going up in value. So I wouldn't call it a Ponzi. Like, you could call it a scheme, you could call it whatever you want. I don't think Ponzi's the right word, though. Can you buy? Yeah, again, same question. So C-Town, like, realistically, SEC is going to invest crypto and things like that. But as far as like a membership club, I mean, it's pretty cut and dry rules. You read the rules either, and really there's no investigation until the rules are not adhered to. So there's no real investigation of membership. It's just a membership club. Like, the only thing crypto is that the membership agreement is in the blockchain. Like, that's literally, like, you could literally do this entire thing and just send somebody a Sam's Club ID if you wanted to. So there's no, like, that's like, the crypto is, there's benefit to it because of future sale. Like, that's really the benefit of crypto there, but it's not like you're trying to issue your own token.
That's right.
Yeah. Would there be a way for members to make sure there's only 5,000 memberships sold? I mean, it's a blockchain. We ought to be able to audit that, right?
Yep, you can validate. You can look up our Ethereum contract anytime you want online. You can see how many tokens there are, how many have been issued, how many exist, and also how many have been minted and are owned by members.
And I haven't even talked about this blind yet, but I think I've got my order. I'm still debating on these two right here, but we're going to try to get through as many of these questions. Like, great, fantastic questions. I appreciate y'all hanging out and asking awesome questions. So, like, this is Alfonso's asking a question, and I'm not going to ask Alfonso's question, but I'm going to try to go deeper, right? And Alfonso mentions that friends need to lease to each other. How does a lease work? Like, if I leased mine to somebody else and they went, like, if I can't go, if you've got one in Chicago, I can't go. Like, what's the rule around me leasing and then me showing up to the one in Atlanta? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. So what happens is it's all facilitated through our platform. So essentially, you as a member say, "Hey, I want to lease out my token for my NFT for X amount of time." Say you lease it out for 24 hours at a time. You set your price on what that's worth for you, and then what happens is the platform actually transfers your token, holds it in escrow, so it pulls it out of your wallet. So you would not be able to go to any other location if you leased it out, because when you showed up to that location and we tried to authenticate the token in your wallet, it would not be there. It pulls it out, it holds it in quote unquote escrow, for lack of a better term, and then it issues a temporary token into the wallet of the person who did the leasing, so that validates when they show up to the location. So the transition happens seamlessly. You can't have a situation where you send your token to someone else and you actually go to a location. It wouldn't work. It would fail.
I mean, you say that, but, like, how are you validating when I show up to some random storage unit?
Because you actually have to, so you will actually have to log into our platform to generate that pass within a certain time window of you visiting the location. And the only way that you can log into our platform and generate that access is a valid token in that wallet. And so when you agree to lease out your token, your NFT actually leaves your wallet for the predetermined time that you agreed to lease it out. So for that 24-hour period, you would not be able to log in and generate that access that you would normally be able to access as a member if you have that NFT in your wallet.
So what happens if I lease it to somebody and they do something stupid?
So there will be sizable deposits around leasing privileges that we will take, where if damage is done, we have collateral against the lessee that can compensate for damages.
All right, trying to catch up here. Wait. So many freaking good questions. Let's see. Where were we at? Crazy. Does each member get a return, or does the membership only permit meetups and access?
When you say a return, I'm assuming like a return on your investment. The return on investment will be generated one of two ways. One, the 5,000 memberships are sold out, and the only way that you can get one is on the secondary market. You can price it however you want, and supply and demand will dictate the return that you get. The other way that you can get a return is to go along this journey of us in building the collection. And in 5 years, 10 years, when that thing gets to 15, 20, $25 million like we have in our projections, you can sell it back to the club for that fraction of that value.
If the initial investment is only $3 million in whiskey, how can you disperse $12.5 million if this tanks?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
I don't know. I mean, I don't recall you saying
Oh,
necessarily that you would disperse 12.5. I think you're raising 12.5, right?
correct. 12.5 is raised. The collection will start at 3 million. So if it say it tanked in 48 hours after we mint and it's like cool, everything went up in flames, what you're entitled to is the 3 million. That's the starting place.
So what happens to the other 9.5?
It was invested in businesses, land, everything else for member benefits.
In 48 hours?
Well, obviously in 48 hours is a different scenario, but that's not going to happen in 48
Okay.
hours.
So, but then the question is if we if you take the 12.5 raise and you use the 12.5 to build buy land, build a warehouse, build a speakeasy, build whatever you want to build with it. We don't own the land. We don't own the real estate. We only own the actual alcohol in it.
That's correct. You are investing in the future member benefits of the club from an access standpoint. Like I said before, the sole investment, if you're viewing this strictly as an investment into whiskey, it's probably not for you. The way that someone who's a good fit for our club would view that is they would look at like a place like the Red Door in Nashville, or there was a new speakeasy that opened up in Oklahoma City last week. It's $175 a month to get into that speakeasy for the opportunity to drink the bottles of whiskey and the cocktails that are in that private location for members only. So, when you take that, you should be viewing it in a way that's like, hey, this is a lifetime membership for $2,500. And sure, the starting place may be less than what it is, but over time, if the business model works, you can generate a return on investment on the NFT itself while also getting access to a pretty damn cool whiskey club that when you look on the market today would cost you probably $2,500 a year to be part of something that's frankly way less cool and is going to have way less access to great whiskey.
So I guess this would be a fair assessment. Then it's one of those situations to where if you're looking at it as an investment, probably not a great investment, a little risky, might work out, but you're part of a cool club with access to other cool people and some cool bottles, and you have a chance of at least getting that money back plus some in the future.
That's right. It is a club membership first with some sort of downside protection. And I think like this conversation is a really good example of how people have viewed NFTs to this point and why they have not been what people expect, which is in some very limited cases, you saw people buy an NFT and the next day it was worth 10 times what it was the day before, and they sold it and a bunch of people saw others get rich. And so they hopped in to try to do the same thing when there really was no tangible like asset advantage experience, nothing in real life that supported that actual NFT. It was just a crappy piece of art. That's not what this is. If this is like I think I can buy this today and this is like the greatest idea ever and I'm going to flip it in a week and double my money, I'm here to tell you that's probably not going to happen. We are very confident the tokens will sell out the first day. We have a wait list, like I said, of 4,200 people. 30% of those people tell us they're buying more than one. And so I do think there will be some supply and demand effects there. But all that to say, this is not investment advice, but if you think this is a way to double, triple your money overnight, please do not come into this. We're here because we love whiskey. We're here because we want to give people introductions to great whiskeys that they couldn't find elsewhere. And if that's why you're here, I'd love to share a great pour or something with you. If not, I understand the speculation totally.
Bill Rubin says, what are you sipping on?
Is it me?
Yep.
So my pour right now is I don't know if y'all could see this. It's a 2021 WLW is what I'm sipping on right now. It's one of my favorites. Not quite as good as the 2020, but I mean, any WLW will do.
The 2020 is what I've got behind me. My favorite bottle of whiskey of all time. C-Bell
Man,
says
it's
it
so
didn't
good.
work for Playboy. Best of luck. Understand that. What's in glass meat? We're going to find out here in just a second. I'm trying to get through all the questions. Y'all keep asking great questions. We keep answering them. We're going to get, I don't know what's in this blind, but I'm telling you right now, I think that's a port wine finish. I think that's some sort of cognac finish. I have no idea about this, and I think these are Buffalo Trace BTAC Pappies of some sorts. We'll get to that in a minute. I don't know. I'm just saying that's probably what I'm guessing right there.
Yep.
Speaking of value, what we are in a whiskey bubble. Has the value of a membership secured over time? Like realistically, the value of the membership is secured. You know, one with demand. Two, like if the whiskey goes down, realistically, the liquidation value goes down. It's really more about the club aspect than the value of the whiskey. Like the value of the whiskey is just a safety net to say you might get something back. Fair enough.
It is. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, if the value of any investment goes down, your stake in that investment goes down. If the value of your investment goes up, or the asset behind your investment goes up, your value goes up. It's same with this. Like you can't go invest in Facebook stock right now and have downside protection. It's just how it works.
Yeah, you're breaking up just a little bit there. Hopefully the internet kind of corrects. I can always take the qual. You're not using the chat there anyway, right?
I'm keeping an eye on it, yeah, but I'm mostly taking.
Well, I mean, you're not using the chat. I'm feeding back to you. Is what I'm saying. So what I'm going to do
on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to take the quality down that I'm feeding back to you. So what I'm sending to you is going to be a lot worse. Let me know if it's problematic for you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I
To
got
see
the
if we can
TikTok
kind of
questions.
make it kind of stable there.
Sure.
Alfonso, I'm not. You're asking about Pappy 23. I don't understand the question there, so I apologize if I missed that. So Bourbon and Bogey says if you have 2 tokens, can you lease to a buddy and both of you go?
You can, but you actually do get 1 guest per token. So in that instance, you could lease to a buddy, and 4 of you could go. So you can bring your buddy on your token. One guest per visit.
Okay, so if I go, you said there's like a 2-ounce limit. There's a 4-ounce limit. Like I can take a buddy, and the buddy can have 2 ounces. I can have 2 ounces of a nice pour, and then we could bounce.
That's right. And to be clear, it's 2 ounces. It's a half ounce to 2 ounces per bottle. So you could walk in there if there's a lineup of 50 bottles.
Per
I'm not
bottle.
recommending this, but you can take 2 ounces or whatever the pour limit is from any one of those bottles. There's
That's
no
a whole
total
different
pour.
thing. You got to say this shit, man. I'm thinking
Right,
like, this is kind of cool, but this is not worth me traveling. But like, if I
No.
could take a buddy and I could take a buddy and a driver, and then we could sit there and
Yes.
just get lit on 2 ounces of each bottle each. Like
Correct.
this is a lot more appealing all of a sudden.
Yes, that's right. And that's I mean I think I said that. Maybe I didn't. Maybe the
I didn't hear it. You
started
may have
to
said
kick
it. I
in.
didn't hear it.
So yeah, it is anywhere from a half ounce to 2 ounces per bottle. You can try any bottle on the shelf as a member when you go.
Nice. Mulford asking if I could walk 9.5K. I don't understand the question, Mulford. It's like a golf membership. I mean, it's not too dissimilar. It just has that token that has some resale. Like you can't resell a golf membership. So little different there. And it's not a lifetime. Like golf is just like a monthly thing because there's a whole bunch of real estate access involved. Why make this business focused around NFTs for memberships? Why not just an ID card or soft token? I think, out of all that, the answer, and again, I'm just trying to make it quick. So just confirm this if I'm right. It's just about that you at least have some redeemability and you could sell it later if it goes up in value. Hell, you could sell it if it goes down in value. Like you could liquidate it, you could potentially get your money back. Whereas if it's an ID card, like I can't sell my Sam's membership.
Yep, that's right. It's transparency, it's validated access, it's all those things. It's fractional ownership, so there's a lot of advantages to making it an NFT.
Your Lost Hope, do you use TikTok or YouTube Shorts more? I use them both exactly the same. We post exactly the same number of videos to each. Meat P, I'm going to answer this one, then we're going to jump over to YouTube and try to catch up on those questions. What kind of bottles are we talking about? Like I show up to your storage unit or you speak easy. Like what am I drinking?
Yeah, so I mean, anything from BTAC. We have got procured every line, every year ever made of Buffalo Trace Antique Collection in every vertical. We have the same in Pappy Van Winkle. We have the same in all the high-end Michter's, Michter's 20, Michter's 25 products. We've got a lot of vintages. Let me see if I can find it here. Bottles like this, which is a 20-year red wax A.H. Hirsch. I believe this was bottled in 1979. So, you're talking vintages of things that you can't really find or get. I'm sorry, this was distilled in the spring of 1974. So this bottle right here, if you Googled it, for example, you'd pay anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 for this bottle. So, the privileges and the access of the club really are second to none. I know maybe there's people that are a lot more well off than I am, but I could never afford to crack that bottle on my own. But it's kind of why we're starting this. We want people to have those that they couldn't get anywhere else.
Nitro over on YouTube calling out that B tag behind you. Coleman says, how will you protect these assets? Like bourbon can't really be protected in quantities of tens of millions, I'm assuming dollars, right? So you got insurance? Like, how does that work? You got a big old building full of whiskey. How do you protect that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Insurance policies, very high-end security systems. All the bourbon will be stored in Kentucky. We're building the Bourbon Heads Clubhouse, and that will be a place that people can come and see the collection. Members will be able to go and see the collection in person anytime they want to. People who are visiting the Bourbon Trail can go and buy a ticket and see that collection and walk through it. We've got a lot of partnership opportunities and land opportunities with major distillers that are out in Kentucky looking at us as a secondary attraction on their land to host that collection. So it'll be very visible and very accessible for anyone and everyone who wants to see it.
All right, so Iboximu, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, but and I don't think this was necessarily exactly clear. Like we got into this a little bit, but not 100%. So you've got these for-profit businesses that are supporting the real estate that this other thing happens on, but their question was there certainly would be value should they reinvest a small portion of invested funds back into the bourbon. Why not operate like shareholder-owned companies? So the question becomes, you've got a one-time fee, you buy a bunch of whiskey. You then have for-profit businesses, you leverage the rest of that cash to build for-profit businesses, leverage it for loans to build for-profit businesses, to be clear. You've got these for-profit businesses. Is there a percentage of these for-profit businesses that goes back into growing the collection and paying for the selection? Like realistically, if I went and bought $3 million worth of whiskey and that's in the collection, what am I drinking and who's paying for that ongoing cost?
Yeah, so the selection will be bottles that are rotated out of the collection based on the performance of the portfolio. So in the way of royalties generated plus appreciation. And the question is a good one, and we get this all the time. Why not operate like a shareholder company? Why not, will money be invested from the for-profit operations back into the club? Yes, in a sense they are, because those locations are free to the club, right? The alternative is we could charge $200 a month or $300 a month to be part of that club. And then you could say, okay, cool. Now you start to see that value, right? If we're charging 5,000 people $200 a month for that club, like every other speakeasy or private whiskey club, then sure, those real estate locations are paid by those fees. The reinvestment being made by the for-profit businesses is the fact that those locations over time cost members nothing. You're just paying this one-time fee up front to become a member. So that's the trade-off.
All right, I need to get some answers right here. I'm going to be honest with you, all right?
So all right, tell me, rank them in order first.
D is first, B is second, C. So one, one is last, 2 is second, okay. 3 is third, 4 is first, and 5 is fourth. Yeah. A, B, C, D, man. Don't send me numbers because that gets confusing when I'm ranking them. A, B, C, D. Right? Just so you know. A, B, C, D. Okay. So the last one was number 1. That's a port wine finish something. What is it? Some sort of Angel's Envy?
That's your least favorite is number 1?
Yeah.
So that is the 2022 Michter's 10-year rye.
Rye. See, I thought it had a high rye, but I really thought it was a port wine finish. It doesn't, that's not a finished whiskey at all.
Nope.
because it has kind of that sweetness. I thought it had a rye to it, but I thought it might be like an Angel's Envy port finish rye or something. All right, so my second my second to the end is going to be 5, and I said that tastes like a finish, like some sort of cognac finish.
Okay, I've actually got that bottle, and I was going to grab a pour of it next. So I'm actually happy that we're arriving at that. So that is a local Oklahoma Willett Family Estate bottle. So it's an 8-year Willett Family Estate. It comes in at 140.2 proof, so it's a hazmat Willett Family Estate. It's one of my favorite pours right now, but it's fire.
It's good. I think maybe I thought was the cognac proof just because of the proof, or the cognac finish because of the proof. Like I get kind of a sharpness on some cognac finish whiskey, and that proof is just through the roof. So I did pick up that it was a high proof, but I picked up the sharpness as a cognac finish when indeed it was just the proof eating me alive. That's the first Willett Purple Top I've ever had. I wished I had known what that was when I was enjoying it a little more. All right.
I'll send you another sample.
Yes, please send me another sample or the bottle.
It's a very yeah. Here you go. We can stick this in the mail. It is a very dense mouthfeel too, which could be part of your take on it. Like it's got that like thickness, density, kind of buttery on the mouth, like taste profile and like feel. So that could be what that is.
I think it may have burned my taste buds on the rest of these. So who knows? Luckily, that one was the last one I tried when I was going through the first time. All right.
That's
so
why
the
we
next
had
one,
number 5.
this one's good. I don't know what it is though. I can't really place it. I get just a little nuttiness on it, but not a ton. This is the one I just like had no real answer for, and that is 3.
Okay, so that's 3. That is the 2019 Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition.
I almost guessed a Four Roses Limited Edition on that because I've got a 2020, and that was kind of similar. Like I almost said that was a Four Roses.
Yeah, the 2020. This is definitely. I could see the nutty that you're getting. More oaky profile than the 2020. Yep. If you're into cigars, this is a wonderful cigar smoking whiskey. Really holds up to any stick that you're enjoying, and yeah, it's other than the 2016 Four Roses Small Batch Limited Edition, this is one of my favorite ones. It stacks up against any of them, in my opinion.
Now, I'd be shocked if these next 2 are not by Buffalo Trace. I'd be surprised. So number 2, I would have pegged that at some sort of Pappy's. I can't, like, my taste buds are burned with the high proof. I would have probably first time through said that was a lot B at the proof point, but not sure. What do you got at number 2?
Number 2, which I don't have the bottle with me because we killed it at a Bourbon Heads pop-up event last weekend, but it is the Elmer T. Lee 100th anniversary.
Never had that one. So at least I mean I was close, right? 100th anniversary, that's 100 proof, right?
It is 100 proof, yes. Okay. So that is the second lowest proof that you had. When I drink Elmer T. Lee 100, I get like a hot tamale, like cinnamon bear flavor. But it does. I mean, you were spot on the Buffalo Trace produced. I mean, that was good. So number 1 was D for you then?
I've never had this one. Yeah, so 1 was it 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 4 in the list you sent me. Well, and these were neck and neck. I'll be honest. D and B, I went back and forth, and if I'd had more pours, I might have been able to go back and forth and reverse it. I just finally had to pick when I ran out. So these were neck and neck for me, but D's pretty good. Again, I thought maybe that was an Eagle Rare. That's a William LaRue. Okay. Yeah.
It's a William LaRue, the 2021. So, I mean, you were true to what you said was your favorite of all time. I mean, it stacked up, right?
Bow down! I found that makes me. Dude. If I'd have known there was a Weller in here, that would have been pressure filled. I'll be honest with you. I'd have been a lot more stressed out about it. It would have been a little stressful. So I'm glad I didn't know.
Stressful because you'd be trying to make sure it won, or why would it be stressful?
Well, stressful because I look like an asshole if I tell everybody that's my favorite thing of all times, and then I just get it wrong. Like I put it last and I'm blind. I just look like an idiot at that point. And honestly, about 50% of the time in these blinds, I look like an idiot. So it's fine. Like I don't really mind.
But to be fair, every year is so different though, right? Like you said, the 2020 was your favorite pour of all time. the 2021 just may not be the same for you, and that's okay. Like, that's what I think is cool about all these verticals is you try them side by side and you get very different opinions of all the different expressions, which I think is cool.
So actually, I mean, I don't think I technically had any of these exact releases. I've had the Elmer T. Lee 100 and the Willet Purple Top are the first of those I've ever tried at all. So that's awesome, man. I appreciate that blind. That was cool.
Absolutely. We'll have to drink more together then, because the Willett Family Estate Rabbit Hole. I don't have many of them with me right now because, like I said, I'm moving and a lot of my stuff is in storage. But that is a slippery slope, deep rabbit hole once you get into the WFE track.
Well, I mean, you done screwed up and gave me a membership. Now I'm going to wherever these things are, and I've got 2 ounces of every bottle. We're gonna be having all sorts of stuff now.
That's right. Somebody did actually ask a good question along those lines. They said, will every speakeasy inventory be available online? Yes. When you log on to our platform as a member, you will be able to see which bottles are in which locations and how much is left of each one.
There you go. So let me try to catch up on the questions in the chat. I know there's a ton of them. If I miss yours, please let me know. We will get to it. So Joseph says, do members get their own brand of whiskey? That's not what this is about. So if I'm misunderstanding that, Joseph, let me know. G. Barnes says, will the club facilitate the leasing of tokens? So like if I want to lease my token, but I don't know somebody that wants to pay for it, right? Do I go on an app? Do I go on a website and say, hey, this is for lease?
Yep, you can lease it. And the cool thing about that is in each one of the public-facing hospitality concepts, it will be marketed in those properties. So as people come in, like I'm a whiskey lover, if I go to a cocktail bar in Atlanta and I see this back room and I ask the bartender, how do I get back there? What's back there? She says, oh, scan this QR code. This is how you gain access and buy a pass to that back room. And that will take people to our website, which is where you can put your NFT up for lease.
Keith in YouTube says it sounds scammy. Might as well get a timeshare. And I'll kind of take this one. I mean, honestly, to me, Keith, it doesn't sound scammy. Now, there's some risk involved. There are obviously incredible costs involved, but I feel like Brett's been pretty transparent, at least, as to where the money's going to go. It's not like these cryptos that say they're not going to do this and then they turn around and do it. So as long as, he upholds to the promises that have been made of the club, I don't necessarily feel like it doesn't feel scammy to me. It does feel a little risky and, kind of new and different, and not for everybody. So I'll give you that. And honestly, I'm a poor kid from Alabama. $2,500 for a bourbon club, just nuts for me. Just nuts. It's nuts. But there are a lot of people out there with a lot of money that are really into bourbon. And so if the $2,500 doesn't bother you, or if you think, you can make that investment with a chance of getting it back later, for a lot of people that makes a lot of sense. I understand, that's not necessarily for this particular audience, but I do appreciate the great questions in case somebody stumbles upon this later. Anything to add to that, yeah. Brett?
I will say, yeah, I mean, questions, this is what I do in our Discord all day is answer questions like this. So if you have a question specifically that you want to ask, if you go to our website at bourbonheads.com, there's a little widget where you can join the wait list. That puts you on the wait list to mint on November 30th when our memberships go on sale. But more importantly, that will get you on our email list where we will send you all the correspondence, invites to our Discord channel. And that's really a direct access to myself and our other founding team members, and we can dialogue about all these questions that you guys have, and we're happy to chat through all this, and it's fun.
Brett also was kind enough to send me this Old Forester King Ranch I've been looking for here.
Texas, shout out.
We're going to give that a try here while we get through the rest of these questions. Do you get to see the whiskey you invest in, or have any input into picking out the whiskey that you buy? Joseph asks.
Yeah, so we will take suggestions from members on bottles that they'd like to see in the collection. Physically, you can see the bottles. It will take us, I would imagine, 2 to 3 years to build the clubhouse in Kentucky, where you can go and visit the collection anytime. Until then, you will have access to a spreadsheet and a live inventory of what's in the portfolio, how much was paid for it, and what we are valuing it at.
Keith has a little criticism here in the chat. Says only about 1/5 or 20% of your money goes into actually buying the whiskey. Doesn't ask a question around that, but I will. Like, you're going to have the other cash on hand. You're going to leverage that for loans to build the for-profit businesses. What happens to the other 9.5 mil?
It's put down as collateral to build out the member locations. So members are paying for, 20% of that build out, and that's funding the membership perks of the club, similar to, building a golf course or any other kind of country club membership.
So that cash will be used as down payments on the loan. So like when I buy a house, I got to put 20% down. So that
Correct.
extra cash will be used as 20% down on the loans to build out the real estate, even though club members don't necessarily own the real estate.
Correct. And that's what I mean by collateral on the private financing. Yep.
Okay. Let's see. Adam says, isn't this how NFTs have been working, where there's a limited amount and a few select people buy them all and pass them around while inflating the price, hoping they can pawn off at the inflated price? So Adam, a little different than that. I mean, that could happen, right? Theoretically, but this is a club, not some asset that somebody's necessarily trying to artificially inflate. Like, these are tied to physical assets. And so, there's a value of the club and the membership in the club and a value of the physical assets. So it's not like you bought a picture, a drawing of some ape that looks bored, and then, a bunch of people hype that up and then it goes up in value. Like, realistically, the club could get hype, but I think it's a little different in that it's not about buying. Like, if you're looking at this as an investment that somebody might inflate and might go up in value, you're probably missing the point. Probably not a wise investment for you. If you're looking for access to bottles you would not otherwise see, if $2,500 is not a ton of money to you and you're okay investing that with the chance you may or may not get that back in the future, but that's going to give you access to bottles that you could not get otherwise, that's really where this becomes a wise investment. Anything to add to that, Brett, or change anything inaccurate with that?
No, I mean, the one thing that I will say on that is, we've set specific measures around making sure that a select few can't buy up all the NFTs and inflate the value and then dump. So we are limiting it to 4 NFTs per mint in an effort to give everybody a chance to get in there and mint their NFT. And the hope behind that and the reason behind that is to, diversify and spread out the community so that one person can't get in there and buy, 2,000 of them, inflate, and then dump.
Yeah. And I apologize. Jill just got home. If you hear her clopping above me here on the entryway, it's okay, Jill. Y'all are just extremely noisy. This house is very noisy. We put hardwood floors upstairs. Not a great idea. It looks wonderful. Not good for the acoustics downstairs if I'm trying to live stream. All right, catching up on the questions. Joseph says, stock market the whiskey. I mean, a little bit. Not exactly, but a little bit. Smokey asked, do we talk about how the bottles get replaced at the locations? Is it from the collection? So if you have a location that sells out of a particular rare bottle, does that come from the collection that has been purchased? Does that come from revenue from the for-profit businesses? Like, how are how is the selection funded versus the collection?
Yeah, so that is bottles that are rotated out of the collection as a function of the appreciation in value and the royalties being reinvested and the leasing funds being reinvested. So that the selection is powered by the collection.
So if nobody's selling their NFT, if you're not making any revenue for people leasing and selling them, the selection dries up?
I mean, in theory, if whiskey wasn't the fastest appreciating luxury good, it was.
Well, I mean, not the appreciation of the bottles, right? Because if you have an asset that's appreciating and you don't sell it, it doesn't matter, right? So, like, if you're, it sounded like, just to make sure I'm clear, it sounded like you said the selection is funded by the revenue generated from the tokens and things.
That's right. So let me clarify. I'll give you an example. So you are right in one sense that, like, the value is only realized if it's sold. But the way that the portfolio will be managed is, say we have $5 million in whiskey, right, which is less than half of what we're minting at. Say it doesn't appreciate 54% a year like it has for the last 10 years. Say it appreciates 20% a year, right? So now the appreciation on that collection is $1 million. We will split that half and half, where the collection gets marked up in value by $500,000, and $500,000 in rare whiskey gets rotated out into the tasting rooms for member consumption. So the value increase of the portfolio over time will be split between consumption for members and investment for members. Does that make sense?
A little bit, but I need to know a little clarity around the logistics of how that happens. So if I bought a bottle of Pappy's at $100 and it appreciates, and now it's Santa Pappy and it's worth $3,000 or $4,000,
Yep.
then that's worth, we've added $3,900 to the value of the collection.
Yep.
How are you going to move that to the selection?
So it may not necessarily be in that Santa Pappy, but what we'll do in the management of the collection is take that $3,900 and we will say, okay, we now have a $2,000 budget for bottles to be rotated into the speakeasy. So maybe we take, a William LaRue Weller that's $1,500 and we pull it out of the collection and we move it into a tasting room. Maybe we take, 2 Weller full proofs that are valued at $250 and we move those into the collection. And now the appreciation on that Santa Pappy has paid for the budget of the bottles that the members are going to go drink, or that we're going to circulate into events or member-only locations. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, but it sounds like you're limiting the value of the collection by moving the inflation to the selection. And so how much of that inflation? So, like, theoretically, if I have $3 million worth of whiskey, and that moves to $4 million worth of whiskey. First of all, how are you setting the value? Like, answer that question, then I'll move to the second question.
So the value will be set by independent auction houses. So what the bottles would sell for if they were liquidated at auction is how we will value the collection.
Okay, so how often are you doing that?
Quarterly.
All right, then the second question is, it moved from 3 to 4 million. So we added $1 million. So basically what you're going to do is then remove $500,000 worth of whiskey from the collection to the selection.
That's right. Yep.
So
that's why I say, that's why I say, TJ, it is important that if you are watching this and you're like, I'm on the fence about this, it is very important that you are equal consumption and equal investment, because if not, you'll be frustrated by the business model. And that's, I think, what you're exposing here, which is you're saying you're going to take $500,000 and increase the value of the collection, which is ultimately what backs the value of the token. And you're going to take $500,000 and rotate it into member experiences. Now, if you're only here for the investment and not the member experiences, that sucks for you, right? If you're here only for the member experiences and not the investment, then $500,000 staying in the investment sucks for you. And so it's important to hold those in tension and saying, these are both parts of this. They're not, neither one of them are the whole thing.
Yeah, no, I understand that. And we do have a lot of commenters here that are looking at this purely from an investment standpoint. And so, they're a little frustrated in the chat, but like my concern here, or my question, I don't know if it's a concern, because it's interesting. I like the what interests me or experiences as much as anything. So my question though is, how does the collection grow? Right? If the collection is always subtractive to where it goes up in value, we take away from it for the selection, that has to be refreshed, or eventually the selection is one bottle of really expensive whiskey.
No, because in the example that you just gave, right, the collection went from 3 million to 4 million, and we only subtracted $500,000, right? So the collection that was at 3 million is now at 3.5. So the value of your investment has still gone up.
No, the value's gone up, but what I'm saying is let me make sure I clarify my question here.
Yeah.
So you took $3 million and you bought a bunch of whiskey. Let's say you bought a bunch of whiskey at $100. You got them all. They're all Pappies. They're all MSRP, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're all $100 Pappies.
Sure.
So you were able to buy, I don't even know what that is, 3,000 freaking, no, that would be 30,000 Pappies at $100, right? And so now instantly that Pappies is worth a bunch more than that. So you take half of that out and you put it in the selection, and all that gets drank, it's gone. Now my value's gone up, my investment's gone up, but the number of bottles in that collection has shrank because we took half of them out. Like they basically went from almost zero to worth $2 or $3 grand a piece. So we took half of them out. So the number of bottles in the collection have shrank by half, but the numbers of the bottles in the selection have grown. And so those Pappies now go up next year, or maybe they don't. Like what if they don't go up? How do we fund the selection? But then if they do go up, now we bought 3,000 Pappies. Now we got 1,500 because we already drank 1,500 of them. So next year they double again. We take 750 of them out. Now the selection or the collection only has 750 bottles. Like at some point, if you start with a number of bottles and you're moving bottles out based on value, if the value goes down, the bubble pops. Is the selection continued to be funded? And even if it continues to rise, the number of bottles dwindle, how do we kind of refill the collection to then fund the selection? Does that make sense?
Yes. Yep. So that's a good question. Yeah. So you're talking more like the inventory, like the unit inventory of the collection, not the value of the collection.
Yeah, exactly.
Is how I'm understanding that. So that's a good question. And that will be, we talked about like a company shareholder model, right? Or somebody mentioned like, hey, this is like a hedge fund or an EFT of whiskey. That's 100% true, right? Like there is an investment aspect to this where if you and I are looking at it going, hey, we bought this bottle of Santa Pappy in 2017 for $100 and now it's worth $5,000. Our community manager, our portfolio manager will make trades within that collection where we may say, hey, the royalties that are being generated, we're going to invest that in lower end bottles to build that quantity back up. It may even be a situation where we say, hey, we got a bottle of Santa Pappy in 2017 for $100 and now, it's worth 5,000. Let's liquidate that bottle and let's replenish the inventory that we have in the collection from a selection strategy standpoint. Does that make sense?
Give me the abridged version to make sure I understand. Like I'm still not understanding how the collection gets replenished. And maybe
so in short, we will backfill with lower value bottles to grow the bottom end of the collection. And we also, I think there will be scenarios where we even trade down where like what you see on the secondary market is like, I want to trade this one super valuable bottle for 10 lower end bottles because we're going to speculate on the value of those increasing.
Okay, so that makes sense. Where does the revenue come from those? Do you liquidate some of the collection to buy multiple new bottles for it?
Correct. Yep.
Any other revenue source for replenishing the collection?
Just the royalties that are generated off of the NFT trades and leases, and then also in the locations where we charge MSRP for pours, all of that revenue will go back into reinvestment for the bottles also.
I understand. Okay. So and I'm trying to catch up on all of the questions. Somebody was asking about this King Ranch Old Forester. I love the proof on this. This guy's 105 proof? Is that what that says? I'm blind, and it's dark on this side of the bottles, but it's pretty good. Old Forester doesn't put their name on something that's not good.
I really enjoyed it. Let me know what you get from it. I'm curious if it's similar to what I get from it.
I don't love kind of that mesquite. It's almost, the finish on it is almost dry to me. Like it's not overly dry, like it's a finished whiskey in a wine barrel that gives me a ton of dryness, like a wine finish. But I get that Old Forester up front, and then whatever they did to it, what is it, like the mesquite charcoal finishing, kind of kills the finish for me. So I love the proof. I love the Old Forester up front. I don't just love what happens to it on the finish. And so realistically, I just assume have a 1920.
It's fair. I get a cherry bomb up front, but then similar to you, the mesquite finish takes that away relatively quickly. So I found myself, I found myself enjoying the pour right away and then diminishing return on the taste over time. I will say putting on a rock helps prolong that finish, killing the upfront flavor. So you may try that next time you drink it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, I've had some fairly high proof stuff. Like you gave me a nuclear freaking Willet purple top as my sampler. So my taste buds are probably just gone at this point.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I'm, again, everybody in the chat, I'm trying to get every one of your questions answered. Like, I understand this is not for everybody. Hopefully you can appreciate we've pulled no punches. We will ask any question you have about any aspect of this thing, right? I'm not, again, for those that have just joined, I'm not endorsing this. I'm not saying this is for you. I'm not saying you should go out and spend the money to do this. They did not pay to come on here. They did agree to gift me one of these memberships so that I could, enjoy it, document it, and, maybe like I've agreed to do nothing for that. Like literally do nothing for that membership. I just thought it was fun. I thought it was cool. We've talked about doing some membership clubs and some different things with Brewzle. So I thought this would be fun to kind of poke holes and see how they figured out a lot of the things that I'm struggling with on some membership clubs that we might do. It does intrigue me. I am interested in it. There are some things about the business model. It's like this may work, this may not. Like I completely understand all of your concerns. So keep those questions coming. If we didn't ask any question, I assure you it is not intentional. We've just had a lot of questions and we are live on TikTok and YouTube. So it's possible that we missed one. If we missed it, ask it again. And I promise you, I will ask it. So right now, what I'm going to do, I've got to take a little restroom break. I'm going to cut to you, Brett. I'm going to ask this question from War Damn Steve, who just joined late. I don't know where Steve's been, but man, I appreciate you joining here in this live stream. So I'm going to cut to you, and then I'm going to ask this question from War Damn Steve. And then I'm going to run to the restroom, and then I'll come back, and I can give you a restroom break if you want one.
Deal.
All right, so War Damn Steve. And then after you answer this, just keep juggling or dancing or doing something to keep everybody entertained until I get back. But the restroom's right there, so it shouldn't take too terribly long. War Steve says, join late if I spend $2,500. What exactly does that get you if we are able to purchase it? So a lot of folks come and go. So if you just joined, what are we talking about, and what does it get you if you actually spend the $2,500?
Yeah, good question. So short answer, I will say everything is outlined on our website really well at bourbonheads.com. So if you go to bourbonheads.com, it tells you all of the member benefits for buying a Bourbon Heads NFT membership. In short, it gets you two things. It gets you one, our vision is to build the largest, most valuable bourbon collection in the world, fractionally owned by our NFT holders. So as an NFT holder, buying a membership entitles you to 1/5500th, which is how many total memberships there are, of the value of the collection. So over time, you can go in our Discord channel, which is at the bottom of our website. There's a link to our Discord. There are collection projections. We project that the collection will get to between $20 to $25 million in value in the next 10 years, which is a lofty goal. The second piece of that is it gets you access to real life experiences. So member only speakeasies, member only tasting rooms, where you will be able to try some of the world's most rarest and finest whiskeys at a cost of the original MSRP or lower. So, it's kind of what we're building is this like subversive, underground whiskey community where you have to be a member to access these things. And so, again, it's a lot to go into. It's a very complex, in-depth series of membership benefits, but I would encourage you to go to bourbonheads.com and see the outline of all those things. I've got the TikTok questions here. Do the owners of the membership in bourbon, or do the owners have ownership in bourbon auction houses? No, we do not. The auction house that will do the independent evaluation of our collection value is based in the UK. So they are a complete third party. We have no interest in that company. What's the name of the NFT? The name of the NFT is Bourbon Heads. You can go to bourbonheads.com and all the information is there. You can follow us on TikTok here. But I would encourage you, when you go to our website, there's a wait list about halfway down. You can sign up for the wait list. The memberships go on sale November 30th. That will get you in line to mint a membership. But more importantly, it will get you on our email list, on an invite to our Discord, more close one-to-one connection and conversation with some of the founding team in those chat rooms. So there's a lot of value there if you're interested in this at all.
All right, I'm back. I appreciate everybody hanging out here. Do you need a restroom break there, Brent?
I'm good right now. I may need one in maybe like 10 to 15 minutes. So I'll take a rain check on it and call it when I need it.
Sounds good. No problem whatsoever. Just trying to make sure you're taken care of. So again, let's hang out. Let's talk about bourbon for a little bit. So if I did not get your questions answered, make sure you're in the Brewzle Discord. Happy to pass those questions over. Bourbon Heads also has a Discord. If you're on TikTok, you can find my Discord, link in the bio. On YouTube, we normally have a mod dropping those regularly, but I think our mods just they were here earlier, and I think they may have had to, go to sleep or something. I know Nate was up 27 straight hours, so he said he wasn't going to make it for much of this live stream. So, again, I know there's still a lot of questions here. LK, this is the Bourbon Heads. Bourbon Heads is what it is, the NFT. So, GB Davis, the bourbons are made and created to be drank and enjoyed. Absolutely. Livin, I appreciate it. Thank you. Livin's been loving Fourgate lately. Have you had Fourgate, Brett?
I have never had a single thing from Fourgate. Tell me about it. Is it good?
I haven't had a ton either, honestly. I think I had a sample somebody sent me, but I haven't had a lot. So yeah, I mean, a lot of good questions in chat, and I guess we could keep going. Dirty asked, will you be in the Dallas area?
I can tell you Dallas-Fort Worth is one of our top 5 markets on the wait list right now, yes.
Who will custody the bourbon? Who's the guy that's like, hey, this is the bourbon and it's here?
That will be many people that are responsible for that.
Are you filing Form D for this offering? I don't even know what Form D is.
No, so Form D is like and somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but Form D is like a qualified investor verification that you meet certain high net worth individual or assets in your personal net worth. No, this is not a Form D offering.
So Malford says, day one, you lose 76% of initial investment and collection is replenished with lower quality whiskey. Now, I would disagree with one statement there. It is not replenished with lower quality whiskey. First of all, your $2,500 is not to buy whiskey. Your $2,500 is for access, right, to the whiskey that is purchased. And just because it's lower price doesn't mean it's lower quality, right? So it might be replenished with whiskey that is of lower value, but not necessarily lower quality. But your criticism's fair, right? So what do you say, Brett, to folks who are like, hey, I'm paying this, you're collecting a bunch of money, and then 80% of it goes somewhere else?
Yeah, I think it's fair. Again, I would go back to the comment that was made. I think it's important to see the 76% of your initial investment being lost. If that's the way you view it, it needs to be reshaped, or otherwise this might not be for you. The way that I would view that is the 76% of your investment is going to fund the other side of the member benefits, which is the access, the experience, the private tasting rooms where you get to try once in a lifetime pours of whiskey. Now, replenish with lower quality whiskey. I think if you've traded whiskey, bought and sold whiskey, traded up into nicer bottles, or managed any kind of collection, you would understand that over time you do not get lower quality whiskey, you get higher quality whiskey. Would you agree with that, TJ?
All right, repeat that statement to make sure I understand exactly what you're saying there.
So, day one, you go walk into a liquor store, your first allocated bottle is a Weller 107, right? There's there's a certain function of trade ups, selling, buying, trading bottles, and your goal is to get into higher things. If you've done that for any length of time with any success, you understand that you are not replenishing bottles that you drink or get rid of with lower quality bottles. Your bottles get better over time. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, if you're moving up the chain, yeah.
So, I mean, I will tell you, like 5 years ago, knowing what this is worth, I would have never imagined opening this bottle and drinking a bottle that in theory could fetch $200 or $2,000 on the secondary market. Correct. What allows me to drink this bottle, and this is the effect of the club and the portfolio among member collections, is the value arbitrage that is in whiskey allows you to justify trade up, trade over, trade into bottles that otherwise you would have not been able to enjoy, which I think is one of the underlying principles of the club and the portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, if by correct you mean it's worth $2,000, yes. If by correct you mean you couldn't imagine opening that, we open everything. I have one open right now. I knew it was worth $2,000. Open that bitch. I drank it. It's delicious.
Sure.
Just to be fair. And by the way,
sure.
I just opened a sampler of Fiddler Georgia Heartwood. You ever had that?
No.
Don't love it.
Where's it from?
Fiddler. I mean, where's Fiddler from? I don't know. Anybody? Georgia Heartwood. I'm assuming it's from Georgia. Somebody sent me a sample of it. Kyle, one of our patrons, sent me a bunch of samples, and I do not like this one. I don't hate it. God, it's not good.
It looks like you close to hate it.
I mean, you sent me a bunch of really good stuff, and then I try this, and I'm like, not one.
Hey, do you think this 140 proof would have made your lawnmower go? The Weller Full Proof, I know.
I mean, if you send me the bottle, I'll try
it. I know you will.
I mean, I'll try it. I mean, I literally poured that Weller Full Proof in there, no problem whatsoever, because it was worth it for the meme, for sure.
That's great.
Balcones single malt. I'm not going to like that. I can go ahead and tell you.
I have not liked anything that Balcones has put out, unfortunately. And I know they just got a huge payday. So in theory, their stuff is good. It has just not been for me.
Do you like 4-grain things?
I like some 4-grain things, yes. EHT 4-grain, I'm a big fan of, primarily.
Never freaking tried
some
that.
of the other, some of the Penelope 4-grain stuff I've liked.
I don't even think I've tried the Penelope 4-grain. So this is, I'm going to pass on that. This is a quarter horse wheated. I've never heard of quarter horse. I don't know anything about them. All right, catch it up on the chat. Have I had Elijah Craig 18? Get that question. I need an Elijah Craig 18 review. Yes, I have a few bottles. It's good. Malford says it's a failing business model of the enthusiasm, though. I mean, it's fair criticism. It may or may not work. Like, that's with any business. I own an e-commerce agency. We've been in business like 22 years, and I'm still not sure that shit's going to work. So, like, that's any business, realistically. So, when you trade up, the other person is trading down. Well, I mean, not necessarily. Like, when you say you trade up, like, you're trading on value, not necessarily. And value is scarcity plus, like, hype around a bottle. So, trading up and down is really around, like, not necessarily the quality of the whiskey. It's around the scarcity and hype of the whiskey. Not as much the value of that whiskey. Like, I think Weller Antique 107 is one of the most underrated whiskeys on the planet at $100 on the secondary market. Like, I freaking love it at $100 on the secondary market, and people are paying $450 for Weller Full Proof that's seven freaking proof points higher. So I could trade one Weller Full Proof for 4 Weller Antique 107s.
Yep.
I felt like I'm trading. I won that. So.
Yeah, I mean, 107 is one of the, best, most tried and true bourbons out there. When I say you're trading up over time, there is an underlying assumption in that, which is trading up is viewed as more valuable, more scarce, more rare, which our assumption is that that's what people want to try, right? Like people want to try this because they can't get their hands on it. They want to try this because they can't get their hands on it. Does that mean that this is 11 times better than Weller Antique at $100? That's for you to decide. I'm just speaking in generalities among the
I
value.
don't think it would have beat it in this blind you just sent me.
That's fair. That's fair. For me, it would. But I can 100% agree that it's probably a 50-50 split for sure.
And again, I apologize if I missed your questions. We'll try to get to as many of them as possible. Courtesy is asking, have I tried Blanc Brothers Bourbon from Galena, Illinois? No, send me some. P.O. Box is in the bio. Send me. I'm happy to try it. I may not create a video. Like, we really need, like, the actual bottle. So if you send me a whole bottle, we might add it to the list. If you send me a sample, I'll try it on a live stream or something, but probably not do a full review of it.
This is a good question, TJ. Can I answer this question on TikTok really quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So Malford asked, what are your plans for an upcoming recession? Do you think whiskey will hold its inflated value? So this is an interesting question because I actually think that from a buying whiskey perspective, this is a great time for us to mint and be spending a ton on whiskey. Whiskey values over the last 6 months, 12 months have come down. We're in the middle of a recession. That being said, they will come back up. It is a scarce product. There's only so many made, especially in certain expressions in certain years. So, I for that question specifically, we bought a lot of whiskey the other day that the asking price on it and the value was $800,000. But because of the financial position that a lot of people are in, we were able to get that lot for $500,000. Now, we are going to value that somewhere in between. But what that does is it creates a value increase right away from day one for our members, because the market around buying high volumes of valuable bourbon right now is very favorable from an acquisition standpoint, and that should benefit the club over time.
All right, we've got a comment here over on YouTube. I want to make sure I get to, and again, we're trying to make sure we go after all the criticisms, right? Because that's what makes a club like this seem like it's not worth investing in, are the criticisms. So let's go right at them. Keith Courtney says, check my math, 5,500 memberships times $2,500 is 13.75 mil, minus 9.5 in property investments, which members don't own, leaves 4.25. So I think the difference there, of course, is I think there's only actually, let's see, hold on, 55. I think there's only 500 memberships. 500 of them are gifted to folks like me that just kind of get to ride along for, because we're cool and we got some clout. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all giving me a little bit of clout. We got this much clout. So the number's a little less. And it's like, guys, I get it. It is obvious that they're gonna mint these. They're gonna generate some revenue. You're gonna pay a bunch of money. A little bit of that, 20% or so, is gonna go toward the whiskey allocation, and the rest of it is kind of in their pockets. And they're going to use that, according to the agreement, as collateral and down payments toward building all the benefits and the physical locations for y'all to interact with this club. And that is separate ownership. So you are contributing to the down payments for this other business to get started. So if you're looking at this from a pure, we gave them $2,500 and I got $2,500 in investment back, it's not going to work. If you're looking at it from I gave them $2,500 and I might get some of my money back, or my token might be worth the same or similar in the future, maybe more, maybe less, but I can get something back by selling this. But realistically, you got to be looking at it as I get access to some pours in some locations that I wouldn't have otherwise got. So it's not like there's money spent towards stuff that you're not going to get credit for. I think that's pretty transparent at this point. Like they Brett hasn't pulled any punches on that. So but I want to throw that to you, Brett. So, address that criticism directly.
What I'll say about that is, yes, you're not wrong in saying that there will be money invested in things that will not necessarily tangibly, mathematically benefit you. That being said, all of the investments that will be made will be to fund and sustain member benefits long term, right? Like if the individual hospitality and real estate investments that we are making are successful, that means that we can open up 25, 30, 50 locations nationwide for members to sustainably enjoy great bottles at a cost of zero to members, right? So I think the emphasis here on the fact that there are no recurring monthly membership charges like there would be at other private speakeasies, private cocktail bars, private country clubs, whatever you want to call it, you are not paying anything because of that initial investment that's being made. And so, there are trade-offs. If you wanted to go join one of those other clubs and pay $175 a month, that's great. You're going to get to $2,500 pretty quickly. But you are right in the sense that from an investment, financial standpoint, yes, you don't have any stake in those things. That being said, every investment that we make will be through the lens of how do we increase member benefits and locations and access.
I'm going to jump right down to Adam on YouTube's question, which is, what does Brewzle get out of this? So I said this at the start, but I know a lot of people come and go. This is not me. This is not my club. I'm not doing this club. I'm not telling you to do this club. Like, I'll be honest, I grew up in a town of like 200 people from a very poor family. I spent my entire teenage years in a $500 trailer. And when I say $500, I don't mean a month. I mean, like, you pay $500 to drag this piece of shit somewhere else, you can have it type of trailer. My grandparents were lucky enough to inherit some land that we were able to drag it to live on. $2,500 is a lot of money. I will guarantee you 1,000% that if it were my money, I would not be a member of a club like this just because I have 1,000 things going on and I don't have the $2,500 to invest in something like this. So I'm not telling you to invest in something like this. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm not endorsing Bourbon Heads in any way whatsoever. What I am saying is it's interesting. I am saying that it's something that I think could be fun for somebody that does have the expendable cash and is interested in what they are offering. And they are gifting me a membership. So they're giving me a membership. So I am going to be a member, but I am not actually putting any cash on the line to receive that. So I'm full clarity, full disclosure on everything that we are doing here. And that's why we're here asking all the questions. And I may have missed some questions, but I assure you it's not because it was a hard question. I will ask all the hard questions because none of my money is on the line, nor am I getting paid to do this. So we're just having a fun conversation about something that I find interesting.
One thing that I will say, couple things. You mentioned earlier, somebody asked the question of like the math doesn't work. 5,500 tokens would raise 13.5 million or whatever that is. This is on our website, bourbonheads.com, but there is 5,000 public memberships for sale. There are 250 pre-sale memberships, which are allocated to people who have worked on the project, software engineers, people who have helped us get the word out, like this channel and like this live. We gifted TJ a membership. So there are memberships there for launch, and then there are 250 post-launch memberships, which will go to partnerships and things like that that increase member benefits and help build the sustainability of the club. So the math is wrong if you do it by 5,500. It's not wrong if you do it by the 5,000.
A lot of great questions. Again, I'm trying to. Dude, Malford. It is for wealthy folks like this. Like if you've got $2,500 to spend on a bourbon club, you're a baller. Like that's just what it boils down to. Like we're not there. And I think somebody on YouTube mentioned this. There's nobody hiding that. This is for rich. This is rich people shit. Very much rich people shit. So, and I understand we got a lot of folks here that are not rich people, but if you want to hang out and see how rich people do shit, it's kind of interesting. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Here's a good question. Bobby asked, can I lease my token? And then over here, Adam says, can I sell it? Like if you gave me a membership, which I haven't got yet because I don't know shit about NFTs. I'm gonna be honest. I got to like figure out how to even get it. But like if I wanted to just like bail out and then take that $2,500 and spend it on, I can't even make jokes about things because YouTube or TikTok's liable to like silence me. If I spend it on Brewzle Glencairns that we're gonna put on the Brewzle.com store here pretty soon. Like, is that possible? Is there a limitation? Like, is there a limit on the gifted token? Because I don't even know. I didn't ask these questions.
No, you can sell it. You can list it on any NFT secondary site and sell it for whatever price somebody will pay you for it. You can sell it back to the club at any point, which is why, I said earlier, it's your token can be sold back to the club for 1/5500th of the value of the collection because those are factored into the membership base. So you could do whatever you want. And I think it's fair, right? Like, I mean, to say that this is a wealthy person's club, right? Like we're drinking a $2,000 bottle of whiskey. Sure. In the scheme of things, if that's what you enjoy, you are wealthy. There's no way around that. I view it from the standpoint of like, I've frequently gone to bars. I wouldn't say frequently, but I have gone to bars and paid, $300 for a pour of Michter's 25, or I have drank a bottle of Willet 25-year 100 rye that would fetch $8,000 on the secondary market, right? So from a bourbon experience standpoint, $2,500 for those types of things doesn't seem that expensive. I'm like you. I came from very lower middle class family. Would never dream of spending $2,500 on a whiskey membership. Like that's obscene. That seems insane. In real world talks, in the whiskey world talks, if you're on this channel and that's the type of stuff you're into, you understand that $2,500 really is a pretty nominal amount of money for those types of pours and experiences.
All right, we've got a few interesting questions. And again, I apologize if I missed them. I kind of skipped to the bottom of some of these, but we're getting a lot of comments on Jason's post over on YouTube. And then we've got some interesting stuff on TikTok I'll get to in a second. But Jason asked the question, could there ever become a point that members token holders would ever be approached for more funds should rough times arise?
No, nope. $2,500 is a lifetime membership. And for a couple reasons. One is because it's the expectation that we've set. Two, I'm like you, TJ, where I'm a business owner myself during the day. Who's going to give more funds to a failing club, right? Approaching club members for more funds because something is failing is probably not very feasible.
So if you need more money, it's just over, realistically.
Correct.
Okay. Justin's going to ask, is FBF getting an NFT? He's talking about Sam Bankman-Fried from whatever the hell the thing is. FTX. I don't think so.
No, sir.
He doesn't have the money to afford bourbon anymore.
Yeah, $2,500 is a steep price point for that guy right now. I don't think the token. Well, I won't say this because I may be. I'm going to say token may not get you out of behind bars, but we'll keep it at that.
He's not cool enough to be in this club.
That's right.
So yeah, he drives a Honda Accord or something. Like, come on, he's giving away all this money. He just gave it away all to like Vapor.
He drives less than that soon.
User and a whole bunch of random numbers says, tell me why I should join the club. Give me the sales pitch.
I mean, you should join the club if you are interested in investing in whiskey and being a part owner in what will become the most valuable bourbon collection on earth. And if you like to drink whiskeys that you can't get anywhere else, that are once in a lifetime pours that will be available to members only, you should buy this because you will be able to drink bottles that are $15,000 to $20,000 a bottle for $15, $20 because that's the original MSRP.
Darren Harvey says Georgia Heartwood is great with ginger ale. I don't have any ginger ale, so it's not my thing. All right, couple of questions here. Bryce is very skeptical. Says, when will the Netflix documentary come out on this? I don't think it's big enough. That's the problem. Even if it fails, it's not big enough to get a Netflix documentary. Charles has an interesting question, though. And Charles doesn't phrase this as a question, but I'm going to rephrase Charles as a question. will you ever issue more NFTs if you need more funds?
No. Nope. And again, you can see the business model in our Discord. It is pinned in our FAQ channel. So again, if you go to our website at the very bottom, there's a Discord icon that you can click on. It's a live invite to our Discord channel. You can see the business model. You can see the projections. But no, after the 5,000 NFTs are minted, there will never be another Bourbon Heads NFT. That will be it.
Oh, Livin says my token will be worth a lot more if the doc actually comes out. If we could get this on Netflix, my token will be worth an awful lot more. Trying to catch up on, make sure I've got all of the questions. Malford says, Sales 101, ask a question with a question. What question did he not answer, or did I not answer, Malford? Let me know. I'll make sure I get that answered for you. I sometimes when I ask a question, I move to the chat. I may not get to make sure it's completely answered. So if we miss something, let me know, and I will make sure it is answered. Let's see. Okay, so how are we going to get these speakeasies built across the U.S. for only 5,000 members? Like that's interesting, right? So 5,000 members, theoretically, if there's 50 states, you're going to have 100 members per state. Now, realistically, that's not how it's going to break down mathematically. But how's that going to work?
Yeah, so we will, with the initial minting, which has been talked about, it's going to be $12.5 million. We'll spend $3 million on whiskey. The other $9.5 million will go as down payments alongside debt and equity capital from private investors to go and buy existing cocktail bars, lounges, etc., that have a public-facing nature. These will be existing businesses that are profitable, that are cash flowing, that we will go and buy from the current owners, and we will create a members only location that is associated or tags along with that member. So that is how those locations will spin up. Those locations will be based upon member density. So our roadmap on our website says we will open up 5 within the next 2 years, and then from there we will continue to open up locations across the country. But the members only area isn't dependent on high volumes of foot traffic. Quite the opposite, actually. We envision there will only ever be a couple people in those rooms at a time. It's a zero cost location to the club and to the members because that initial money was taken and leveraged for the acquisition of those cash flowing businesses. So essentially, the businesses that we go acquire will quote unquote pay the rent for the club locations.
So I had a lot of questions around this of various types. So a lot of the questions I've gotten, especially on YouTube, have been around the money going toward the for-profit businesses. So we're talking about how to come up with revenue to regenerate the collection per se, or the collection and the selection. And I think a lot of the questions are around if the initial investment into the collection ends up financing the down payments 20% of the for-profit businesses, why not give the token and or the collection 20% ownership in those businesses?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, we could. My speculation is that most people wouldn't want to share in the 80% downside risk of that investment, right? So at some level, yes, you are shielded to the upside, but you're also shielded to the downside.
Now, shielded to the upside is not involved in the upside. There's a difference in shielded and not involved. So, okay, that is a fair assessment, right? We don't have any risk in that other than our initial investment. Whereas, if you go start a restaurant and it fails, well, shit, you're due for everything that's owed to that. If you owe $100,000 at the end of that, you're on the hook for that. But
that's right.
Why don't they have 5%?
I mean, they essentially do. When you look at the math, we are spending 30% of minting fees on whiskey, which backs the value of the NFT, right? So we're giving 30% in value in exchange for 20% leverage. So, you are getting that upside from the start more so than what we're taking and putting down as down payments on the for-profit businesses.
Jason Allen over on TikTok asked, coming in late, what's the club? Go ahead and give the pitch on the Bourbon Heads here.
Yeah, so the club is Bourbon Heads. You can see all the details at bourbonheads.com, but it is the very first members only private bourbon club where your membership is an NFT token on the blockchain.
What glass are you using there?
It's just a Glencairn glass. It's
That's
kind
not
of like
Glencairn. That's like a Fat Daddy. Look at that thing.
Yeah, it's
Look
kind
at
of a
this
wide.
is a Glencairn. This
kind of
is a
wide,
Glencairn. You've got like a little
kind
fat
of a wide
thing.
base. It's a wide base Glencairn for sure.
It's not a Glencairn. Who makes it?
I mean, it's not a Glencairn branded glass, no, but it is. I mean, I don't even know who makes it. I guess I bought it at Total Wine. Just has a fatter base, I guess. When I'm drinking whiskey at home, it looks like less in the glass, so my wife thinks I'm controlling the pours a little better than maybe a typical.
Your wife knows. Like, mine's going to give me a hard time tonight, I assure you. Jason says you were drinking Canadian Limited.
Me?
Yeah, I don't know.
No, these are the three things I've been drinking, and only because they're the only things not in storage right now with my move. So I've had some William LaRue Weller 2021. This is a Willett family estate, 8-year, 140 proof hazmat, which ruined every other pour for TJ tonight because it burned his taste buds. And then the 2019 Four Roses limited edition small batch.
Adam says, other than your word, what kind of legal binding is to what you claim?
There is none. I am simply building a whiskey club that I would want to be part of, and that's really my North Star. I think it's for every person to decide if it's for them.
I understand that. All right, guys, it has been 2 hours and 13 minutes. I'm pretty much done talking about the Bourbon Heads Whiskey Club. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot. It's wonderful. If y'all want to talk about Bourbon Heads has a Discord. I don't have the link to the freaking Discord, so I can't even drop it. I think my mods are dead on both platforms at this point. Now, I forgot where I'm at. This is not an e-commerce thing. This is a Brewzle thing. The Brewzle Discord link is in the bio if you're on TikTok. If you're on YouTube, I don't even know if I can freaking add it at this point. Lord have mercy. Find a video. The link is in any freaking video that you want. If you jump in that Discord and you ask me a question about it, I'll link you over to the Bourbon Heads Discord. Let's talk about whiskey. Let's relax just for a little bit. Let's go for another 15 minutes or so and have a good time. And all of your questions are very, very valid. Y'all asked a lot of fantastic questions. Honestly, I had some pretty deep dive questions, and y'all went even deeper. That's why I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all hanging out. But he sent a bunch of really high proof stuff, so you can hear my speech slurring already just a little bit here.
TJ, I'm gonna redeem that intermission bathroom break that you offered about 30 minutes ago.
Go for it, man. Go for it. Let me.
Yeah.
All right, you take a bathroom break, man. Let me know when you're back. We can hear your audio. So, all right. So I'm jumping over to just me right here. Let me catch up. No more questions about Bourbon Heads. If y'all have any questions, you can go to Bourbon Heads. I think it's bourbonheads.com. Go over there, ask any questions. They got the Discord. You can jump in the Jamerson Discord. We will get those questions answered. There's no questions off limit. We didn't skip anything just because it was too difficult. If you were here long enough, we asked all the difficult questions because I'm with y'all. Like, it's risky. Like, this is a risky investment. Like, you got to really be into it, and I'm not endorsing that you necessarily do it. It sounds like a lot of fun if it works, but $2,500 is a lot of freaking money. Like, I could put airbags on the Lincoln Continental for that. So, like, I understand all of the skepticism, and I'm with you. Like, I have a lot of skepticism myself. So, but it sounds like a fun club, and $2,500 is worth the investment for you. Go for it. Castle and Key, Darren says, the only Castle and Key I have is the rye, and it is very rye. Like, it is a little too rye for me. Appreciate it, Malford. Buffalo Trace all day. Nothing wrong with some Buffalo Trace. Alcolith just got here. What's new? What are we drinking? Right now, I was drinking a patron of ours, Kyle Jett, sent his Infinity bottle. I was trying that. So we've tried some crazy stuff tonight, though. BZ broke in. I was broke some. I'm on some Jameson. Okay, I thought, like, dang, maybe I've drank too much to even read at this point. But I think that I just misread that one. That one's a little crazy, but Jameson's all right. Not my thing, though. Just Call Me is on vacation with a Whistle Pig 15-year rye and a Padron 50th anniversary. We're going to bring you back on there, Brett. You ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's keep hanging.
Nitro says, get the bags. McWhiskey says, glad you did that. I signed up a while back after hearing this. I'm okay. Much appreciated. Yeah, McWhiskey. Okay, so Realize says I skipped his. I skipped your comment where you said it's a pump and dump. I don't think it's a pump and dump necessarily. You can't say it's a pump and dump until they dump. Like, I don't think it's very different than that. Like, I'm fair. I'm all in. I am all in on fair criticisms. I really am. Like, I understand the concerns, and a lot of these questions were fantastic. But to just say something is a pump and this is not a pump at all. And if it's not a pump, it's not a pump and dump. Like, will it work out? There's some questions about the business model that may or may not work out, right? Like, if bourbon, like, a lot of the business model depends on bourbon continuing to improve, or really depending on people continuing to get benefits from the speakeasies and the tasting events and things. So there are a lot of questions. I understand that. I don't think pump and dump's necessarily a fair criticism, but there are a lot of fair criticisms that I'm open to those. What's up, Heiner? What's going on? Yeah, hey, BZ, I would misspell everything right now. I got it. Like, this dude sent nuclear stuff to me, so, you never can tell what I'm getting from that. So, South Africa in the house.
Nice. TJ, have you had this year's Maker's Mark release, the limited?
The BRT 1 and 2? I have not. Now, I really love the FAEO 1. I was okay on the FAEO 2, but the FAEO 1 was fantastic. I have not come across the BRTs yet.
I've heard the BRT, whatever the yellow is, I think it's the 2. I've heard it's unbelievable. I've been looking out for it. Anybody had it here?
Yeah, let me know if you've had the BRT 01 or 02. Here in Alabama, in a state-run state, stuff like that's just really hard to find. So I'll typically, like even the FAE 01s, I found that at like a gas station liquor store, but I found it well after everybody else had it. So it came out kind of late for us. What's up, babe? I drank all the water. She's been watching the live stream, and she's like, you've drank too much. Have some water. She's giving me faces and things. I'm in trouble. I'll be honest with y'all. I'm in trouble. It's Brett. It's Brett's fault. He sent me nuclear freaking Willet purple tops.
Since Alabama's a state, since Alabama is state run, can you see the inventory like on a website so you know where things are, or no?
Not for allocated stuff. So, like with Alabama, they've got an app, so I can see. Like if I want some ancient age, which is not everywhere, but kind of hard to find, I can look that up on their app, and then I can send somebody to that location and pick one up for me. If you're talking about allocated stuff, how they do that is every month, about the second Monday-ish, they will release the date the date of the drop, and they will release what's going to be in that drop, and then you have to go wait in line. So if you watch the YouTube content, Brad, I think you found us on TikTok. Watch the YouTube long form videos. So we've started doing like a video of us going to the drop. So I have one that's like what it took to find a Blanton's, or what it took to find a Weller Antique 107. Both of those were like Alabama State bourbon drops. They were going to release Weller Antique 107. So to get a Weller Antique 107, the store opens at, 10 o'clock, I think, on that day. To get a Weller Antique 107, you had to be there by like 6 o'clock in the morning and wait like 4 hours in line to get that bottle, which I agree, little nuts. If you're just looking at the bottle, it's crazy nuts, but it's actually kind of fun because realistically what you're doing is you're showing up at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and you're spending 4 hours just tailgating and hanging out with other bourbon folks. So telling a lot of stories. Like when we camp out, I don't even know how much of this I can tell because like we're doing a bottle share, we're hanging out, we're having a good time, we're telling stories, you know, so there's a lot of camaraderie and kind of tailgating that goes along with that, but you are dedicating a lot of time to getting a bottle. And then at the end of the year, this year in December, normally it's in November, they have a lottery. And so they'll reduce it down to a select number of locations across the state. I don't know, it's 4 or 8 locations, something like that. And then you pick a location or multiple locations, you enter that lottery, they pick the top 100. And if you're not in that 100, which I have literally never in my life been in the top 100, you just show up and you walk through once they're done. And that's where, like, if you want like a BTAC, if you want a Pappy's or that 4 Rose, pretty much anything you sent to me, if you want something like that, all of that is lottery items that you're pretty much not going to get unless you win the lottery.
Yeah. Interesting. Which, I mean, there's pros and cons to it, right? Like, I guess you have a chance to get it at 129 or whatever MSRP is.
That is the benefit. Like if I win the lottery or if I go through the, like with the Weller Antique 107, I got there, I forget the video. I got there like 5, 6 o'clock, hung out with some cool folks. Now I'm there to film a video more so than get a bottle, but I did get a Weller and I got a Blanton's, and I think a Weller, a Blanton's, and 2 Blanton's minis was like 130, 40, 50 bucks.
Nice.
So you do get it at pretty much MSRP.
TJ, I grabbed this Weller 12 just now, and you can imagine how this tastes after the 140 proof purple top that we were drinking. It's
funny thing is like we're doing a video, like it just popped on the radar. So that Weller 12 was on Yellowstone this week. I don't know if you watch Yellowstone. I don't, just because like I don't really watch TV. Like I don't think people understand my life. I'm one of the. It's hard, and I probably shouldn't peel back the curtain this much, but I come across as a guy that's really laid back and easygoing, and that's the persona, and it works for me because I am pretty much laid back and easygoing. But I literally work my ass off, so I kind of meander through life working all the time. Like that's pretty much what like I'm easygoing, I'm laid back, but all I do is work. And so I don't really have like cable or TV. I subscribe to like Fubo just for like some football games that I want to watch on Saturday. So I just kind of like meander through life and work all the time. So I don't watch a lot of TV, really what it boils down to, because I'm either streaming or I'm designing thumbnails or I'm creating content or I'm trying to build my business or I'm doing whatever. So I'm pretty easygoing, but I work a lot, because technically this is work. Yeah. It's fun work, but technically this is work. So, but I don't have a Weller 12. So my team told me this week, they're like, you don't have a Weller 12. It just hit this TV show that you don't watch. And so it's a really popular show. But we need a video about you trying, like super successful. Our biggest videos on YouTube. We've just started trying to produce long form videos on YouTube. Like we've only produced 5 or 6 videos where we really tried. And so the 2 most popular up before today were the bourbon hunts, basically like the allocation drops of me getting a Blanton's and a Weller. And so my team's like, this is popular. It's on, it's all over the freaking internet of getting a Weller 12 because it was on Yellowstone. So we need you to do a video of what it takes to get a Weller 12. Well, I'm like, shit, like what you don't realize is with the bourbon drops, I just went to the drop and the drop says, these are the bottles. And then I just say, okay, well, they're going to have a Blanton's or they're going to have a Weller Antique 107. that's the topic, and now all I got to do is go stand in line. They gave me a bottle I don't even freaking know how to get. It's a Weller 12. Like, I'm out. I'm completely out. So like, how do I get a Weller 12? I called some friends. I had a friend's like, yeah, I got a couple of bottles. I'll send you one. But I'm like, let's hold off on that. Like, I might go that route. Let me try a few different ways. So we're going to try the secondary market locally. We're going to try like the online secondary market to get a Weller 12. So I got like this whole hunt for a Weller 12 to try to find one to document for folks. Like, what does it take? Because I don't know. My time it's funny because I get a lot of criticism on my videos that like, you just don't value your time. If you're going to go wait 24 hours or 40 whatever hours we waited for a Russell's Reserve 13, you don't value your time. These people have no effing clue about how much I value my time, right? But what I also value is the resources and the money I need to do all the crazy things we want to do. So like sometimes I just want to get out of the house, and I would rather go spend 5 or 6 hours waiting for a bottle than pay $200 for that bottle. It's not that I value 4 hours less than $200. It's just that I'm stuck in this freaking house working all the time. Sometimes it's just better to get out and do something.
Well, and what you said earlier too, because I resonated with what you mentioned, which is the tailgating, the camaraderie aspect of waiting in line. Like, some of my best memories are camping outside of liquor stores with people in the local bourbon community. You bring a grill, you bring some great whiskey, you bring, a Bose speaker, and you just hang out in the parking lot for like 16 hours. And like, sure, was the GTS or the Weller Foolproof that you got from that experience good? Yeah, but it's almost, that bottle of whiskey is almost icing on the cake compared to the memories that you made. And that cannot be quantified in a $50 an hour, $25 an hour, whatever metric you want to put on the dollar.
How do we communicate that to these people watching these videos? How do we, like, I don't think we can, honestly. This is our thing, is that there are a ton of bourbon enthusiasts that take it very seriously. They're very like over the top with their opinions. And so it's like, I don't think I can communicate with these people. I don't think there's a middle ground with these people. But like, all I index on is this fun? That's it. Yeah. That's it. 100%. I don't give a shit if it's a good bottle of whiskey, a bad bottle of whiskey. I don't care if it's an expensive bottle of whiskey, a cheap bottle of whiskey. Is it fun right now for me? And if it's fun, I'm going to do it. And so for me, though, like, I work from home. Like, my office is like 20 feet that way. Right. And honestly, we're moving this bar into my office. So when we live stream in probably 3 months, I'm literally going to be live streaming from my office that I spend 60 hours a weekend already. Sometimes just getting the hell out of here, doing something is a lot of fun.
Yep. And I mean, you can't even getting back to our earlier conversation, right? Like, you cannot describe to somebody how to hold intention, the value of whiskey versus the value of community and experience. And like, you just either have been there or you haven't, right? Like, some of my best friends I've met from camping out at a liquor store. Like, some of my best friends are because we made a trade on some local bourbon secondary group, and then we hung out 16 times drinking those bottles. And like, it's not something that you can like just communicate in one sentence, but it's, if you felt it, you know the balance of community, friendship, and value as it pertains to whiskey, which I think is really cool, right? Like, you and I have been hanging out for 3 hours. We've never met, and it's because of whiskey, which is like insane and also super cool.
Absolutely. All right. The problem is we're going to go for just a little while longer, but I broke the seal. So I got to run for a little restroom break. If you would just answer some questions. I think, what have you got? TikTok pulled up right now?
I got TikTok pulled up, so ask me some whiskey questions.
So answer some of their questions. I'm going to be back in like a minute.
Cool. TikTok. Be careful not to confuse what role you're in at a given time, or you'll be drinking all day. Fact. That's fair. Been on here for 2.5 hours, drank some pretty dang good whiskey. We have both. Love BRT01. Interesting. Is that Isa Peckham, is that the like cream label, or is that the yellow label makers from this year? I've heard the yellow label one is the better of the two, but that's interesting. Great sales pitch, brother. Man, I appreciate that. I have spent a lot of time in sales, but I really don't know that that's what this is. Honestly, it means a lot to me that you'd say that. I try and communicate the vision of the club as effectively as I can, but ultimately at the end of the day, like me and a group of buddies from our local whiskey group are just building a bourbon club that we would want to be a part of. For us, it's been equal parts investment and equal parts community, and that's just what we tried to bring to the club. So if it's for you, awesome. If not, no worries. What do I have to do for a sample of WLW? Hop in our Discord, man. Go to bourbonheads.com. There's a Discord link at the bottom, or join our waitlist. We give away samples like this all the time. And we're not even members only yet. So you can imagine what we'll give away when we are members only. What is your background? I spent a little time in nonprofit work, spent a little time in sales and consulting for a pharmaceutical company. 7 years ago, I started a subscription box company for couples called Datebox. So I've been in the e-commerce kind of social media brand space for a while. So if you go to datebox.com, you can see the company that I build during the day.
All right, I just got back. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Let's see.
Pappy 12 for 500 worth the purchase? Absolutely. Buy that all day. That's like half of secondary. I would pull the trigger on that 100% of the time.
I think I got a couple of questions here, Brett, on what your background is.
Yeah, so we just talked about that actually a little bit. Maybe some people are joining, but I did some nonprofit work overseas in East Africa for about 3 years out of college. I spent some time in pharmaceutical consulting, sales and branding, marketing. And then 7 years ago, I started a company called Datebox, which is a subscription for couples. It's a box delivered to your door once a month to help couples have a date night once a month. So I've spent time in the e-commerce direct-to-consumer space for the last 7 years. That's the company I'm building during the day.
So you're still with
Where are you
Datebox?
moved? Yep.
Oh, we might start talking about e-commerce. Like, probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea.
I'm sure we could go some places.
What e-com platform are you using? Is it all custom built, or are you using a platform?
It is custom built. Yep. We built from the ground up.
Damn it.
Yeah. The main reason for that is because when you sign up for Datebox, you fill out like a questionnaire about your interests and personalities and all those things, and our system assigns you the date night experience that's most conducive to like your personality and your interests. And we just didn't find, or at least our level of knowledge with out of the box e-com platforms it seemed difficult to do that unless we built custom.
I mean, realistically, as an e-commerce person, what I would say is you do all the logic around what product, but then you integrate with an e-commerce platform to do all of the actual transaction stuff.
Yeah.
Now, subscriptions can get kind of complicated there. So if you're, subscribing to different products, there's a lot of like third-party subscription services that you can tie into these e-com platforms, but depending on like the detailed specifics, they may or may not work for you.
Yeah. You're a fan of microservices powering the overall platform.
I mean, to a certain degree, yeah. I mean, that's the only way we stay in business. If you just custom write everything, there's no money for us.
Hey, there's plenty of days that I wish we didn't custom write everything. So there's value in each for sure. There's on both sides.
A lot of technical debt if you write it from scratch, for sure.
That's right. Yep. Yeah. Was Datebox on Shark Tank? It was not. I've never been on Shark Tank, so I don't know the non-monetary value of being on Shark Tank. I will say their deals are awful from a purely financial investment standpoint. You get much better not going on Shark Tank.
Well, I mean, you're really taking a very bad deal for the exposure.
100%. Yeah. And I don't know how that plays out over time. I'm sure it's great, but I know from a term standpoint, it's not good.
Well, the funny thing is like from a lot of these companies, though, if you go on Shark Tank, God knows how long it is from the time you went on Shark Tank till it airs, because I know it's at least months.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of these companies, if you go on Shark Tank, the deal you get when you walk in is probably okay. It's okay. It's not great for you, but it might be okay. But as soon as that episode airs and you get the exposure from it, it's a terrible deal.
Yeah.
But the problem is, if you say no,
That's true.
you might not get the exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. First, I mean, certainly after the inflated, sales that you experience from the show, the terms probably look bad. But maybe at the time that you actually negotiate the deal, it's not terrible.
Yeah. Josh is giving me some kudos for the technical debt. Software consultant here. Stay out of the box. Yeah. As much as possible. Like, with e-commerce. So typically what we it's funny because we do a lot of content around platform comparisons in e-commerce. So we get a lot of folks coming to us not knowing what platform is right for them and asking a lot of questions. And realistically, it's about what functionality do you get out of the box? And then what does it cost, or how complicated is it to build what you need outside of the box? And it's not just for now, it's for like the next 5 years. That's what we say. Come up with a 5-year plan. Let's decide what that's going to cost you. And then you choose the right platform from there. So a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yep.
Colton says, where do you recommend to buy online looking for E.H. Taylor? Honestly, Colton, what I have recently realized is that it's completely against the terms of service of most of these e-commerce platforms for me to tell you where to buy whiskey online. So I'm going to refrain from doing so. Alfonso says, I get a Bourbon Head NFT and my wife gets date box. It sounds fair. Like, that sounds fair.
Yes. Yep. For the low package deal of $2,539, which is the combination of the two prices.
I'm assuming date box is a subscription though, whereas the NFT is up front.
It is. That's true. Yeah. Yep.
So it balances out.
Yep.
But see, the problem is Alfonso is assuming his wife wants to go on a date with him. And if she does, she may find value in the box. And if she's a little iffy, all the value may be on your side and she's still being left out in the cold.
I will tell you, in our experience, the wife typically likes any date night activity that they do because they're just spending time together. The value for the husband is, how does the night end? That's typically, from a retention standpoint, we focus on, is the night ending well for the husband. That typically leads to great lifetime value and retention numbers in our KPIs.
Fair enough. There are a lot of questions I'm not going to ask on a live stream coming into the, at least one. I'm not going to, I think no, Malford. I think no. That's all I'm going to say. I think no. But Kobe.
No is a solid answer.
Lord, Kobe and Shack Dog. Any idea where you're going to buy land in Kentucky for like a visitor center or the collection?
Yeah, so we are, from a land perspective, we're looking in the Bardstown area, which is kind of the capital of the Bourbon Trail. There are some surrounding towns on the Bourbon Trail, and if you've been to the Bourbon Trail, you know that you've experienced this. There are some distilleries that are major distilleries that are a little off the beaten path. You sort of have to make a decision. Do I want to go to this location, which may be a bigger brand, but it's going to take all day? Or do I want to go to a couple smaller name distilleries that won't take as much time, but I can hit 2 or 3 in the same day? Those larger distilleries that are sort of off the beaten path, those are the ones that we happen to have personal relationships with. Those are the ones that are looking at what we're doing, saying, hey, if we offer you 100 acres of our land because we have 1,500 acres and we'll never use it all, to let you build your clubhouse here, could that serve as an adequate secondary attraction to get people to make that decision to come out to, our distillery and do our tour and sampling and everything like that? So, Bardstown and surrounding areas is kind of what I'll say.
The hell are you going to do with 100 acres?
Yeah, we've got some big plans, man. There's going to be the clubhouse. There's going to be event space and a tasting room. It's on our website, but in 2 years we will host the first Bourbon Heads festival, which is going to be a country music, Bourbon Heads barbecue festival on our land. So we'll have, RV hookups and everything out there. So there's a lot of things outlined on our roadmap that are pretty big vision.
Still sounds like 5 acres.
Fair. But if it's given to you, why not?
If they'll give me 100, hey, if any of the distilleries in the world anywhere want to give me 100 acres, you want to give me 100, I'll take it. Let me know.
Yep.
I'll do something. Amen. I don't know what I'll do with it, but 9.5 mil can build a lot. You're right. That's true. All right, guys, I think we are going to call it an evening. I had a good live stream. I appreciate everybody hanging out. Y'all let me know in the chat, do you like these interviews where we're trying to, find out more information? It's obviously a little different than what we're used to. Normally, I'm just answering questions. We're just talking about bourbon. I'm trying to not have nuclear Willet purple tops to get me a little intoxicated. And so we're just having, it's a little more conversation style, whereas here, Brett and I are having more of a conversation, and we're trying to work your questions in. So let me know if you like these, if you hate these, like what are your thoughts on them? Should we do more or less of them? Again, I'm just trying to find anything interesting, and bring that to y'all as much as I possibly can. So y'all let me know what your thoughts on it are. You got to mute that. You can't mute me. You can't have me repeating me. Jill just joined us here. You have a question. Go ahead. What's your question? Jill joined late, so you might have a repeated question.
Okay. So
you want to get on camera?
No, I don't.
You look great. Like you're in all green. You look like Robin Hood.
No.
Come on.
This membership.
Yes.
Club, right? So say you're a member of this.
I am a member. He just gave me a member.
I just said you're a member. So do you get a guest pass?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Jill's down with it.
How many guest passes?
I could bring one person to any of their things, and we could drink 2 ounces each of all the bottles in that venue.
That's cool. I like that.
Jill sold. Jill is sold.
Jill, we'll see you soon. We'll share some good
Jill,
pours.
do you have any questions about Datebox?
I want to subscribe.
You want to subscribe? Did you look it up?
I've been looking at it.
You already been looking at it? Damn it. You just cost me like $30 a month. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, I gave you $2,500, so you can subscribe to a lot of months. And
I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but they have spent a lot of time about how the date ends. They put a lot of effort into the finished product, if I can put it that way. So I'm down with the date box.
I will say a hazmat purple top helps that process too, in my experience.
There's none left for Jill to try, so. Well, I mean, he only sent small samples, and it was delicious. So, how much does the hazmat purple top go for? What's the market price for a?
So this specific bottle right now is going for right about $1,400 full secondary.
So it's a $1,400 bottle. He sent me looked like about a 2-ounce sample, and I drank all of it. It was delicious. He also sent me a William LaRue from a different year. All of it. But it was first. It ranked high.
I bet it did.
Yep.
I bet it did. It did. Now, the Willet Purple Top didn't do so well.
I've never had that.
I mean, it actually was delicious. He just sent an ETL 100 and the William LaRue, so it didn't stand a chance. The fact that it come in like 3rd or 4th didn't really matter. Like, when you send all good stuff, if you send me like 5 good things or great things and something comes in 5th, that's not a knock. You just sent me 5 great things.
Yeah, it's hard to pick between these, right? Like you got.
No, it wasn't hard to pick between those two. I easily picked between those two. And the one in your right hand is obviously the right choice. And if anybody picks the one in your left hand, they're wrong. Okay?
And for me, it is a very tight race between these two.
Okay.
But
hey, everybody's watching. This shit's a scam. Don't be doing this NFT shit. This guy knows nothing about bourbon. Nothing.
That's right. Amen.
I'm just kidding.
Amen.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It was not a close race for me.
That's fair. I get. Have you had the 2016 WLW?
I have not.
I need to send you a sample of that. I'd be curious what you think of that versus the 2020 or the 2021. That one is hands down. I had my wife try 4 different WLW samples. She liked none of them except for the 2016. She said the 2016 was good, and she hates bourbon.
You do not need permission to send me a WLW sample.
All right, deal.
Ever.
PO box is in your profile, so I know.
The PO box is in my profile on both platforms. You got like literally the house address, I think, on the. No, you sent to the PO box too. I was like, this guy's got an NFT. We're going to send him to the PO box. I don't know about giving the house address. But yeah, the PO box, go for it.
That's
How do you
fair.
send samples to anybody? You put it in little bottles like this, and you just mail that crap out. Here's the thing. Here's my general rule of thumb. You could use anything you want to, but here's my general rule of thumb. The United States Postal Service is an official government entity. So their rules are kind of closely tied to laws.
Amen.
UPS and FedEx are just businesses. Their rules are just guidelines. Now, I have it sent to the P.O. box, but realistically, they don't have a lot of rules around what can arrive at the P.O. box. What they have are a lot of rules around what you can ship through their service. So if you use like UPS or FedEx and deliver it to a P.O. box, it's really just recommendations. It's not laws. And so I'm completely and totally okay maybe being a little edgy with guidelines. I completely avoid anything that's a law.
I will say, though, having shipped a lot of bottles, this is unofficial advice, but in order for a government entity to open a package, they have to go through certain official channels to gain access and the right to investigate. Whereas UPS and FedEx, because they are a private company, they can open up any package that they choose.
That is a good counterpoint to my argument there.
However, I mean, depends on where you want to gamble, for sure.
I mean, UPS has never asked any questions about all the barbecue sauce I've been sending to people.
Amen. Amen. I have a thriving snow globe business this time of year.
Yeah, and I used to own a barbecue restaurant, so I'm really into barbecue sauces.
Yep.
All right, I appreciate everybody joining. I think it is like 10:48. We are going to call it tonight. It's Wednesday. Lord have mercy. It's already Wednesday. This has been a very, very busy week. I'm going to be live next Monday and next Wednesday, but you need to get all of your Brewzle filled that week because we're not going to be live the next week. And we're not going to be live the next week because I am going to be in Louisville, Kentucky, doing the first Brewzle store pick. We're gonna go and we're doing Barrel Craft Spirits. We're doing one of their private selection blends, and I've got 5 patrons going with us, 5 supporters, and I think maybe there's one like TikTok live subscriber, 1 or 2 YouTube channel members, and a couple of patrons. We're gonna go to Louisville. We're gonna pick that barrel of whiskey. And then I'm going to hope to God y'all want to buy it, or I'm going to go broke because barrels of whiskey costs crazy amounts of money. So if you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. That's where we'll be posting when we're selling that whiskey. That's where we're having some awesome bourbon conversations after hours here. I'm probably going to get off of this, jump on that Discord for a few minutes, hang out with folks. On TikTok, the link is in the bio. If you're over on YouTube, all my mods have gone to bed long ago. Apparently, there are none in here, so you're just screwed. Find a video. The link is in the description of a video. I can't even copy and paste it the way we've set up right now. So I appreciate everybody hanging out. It's always a fun time. Again, I will see all of y'all next week. And then let's hang out next week because I am going to be gone the week after that. So And then after that, when I get back, I'm hoping I've found a sponsor. I do need to talk to y'all about this for just a minute here before we cancel this live stream. What I'm trying to do with the Wednesday live stream is I'm trying to build a game show. So what I want to do is like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire for Bourbon, to where we pull in somebody from the Discord and we give them the opportunity to win a very basic bottle of bourbon. Evan Williams Bottle and Bond. Good bottle, not expensive, not hard to find. But then they can give that up and they can move up the ladder and move up the ladder all the way through 15 questions, and they can get to something like a B-TAC. Or at least like a Pappy Lot B or something. So that's the hope, is that we can build that stream. I found a sponsor. The problem is, and I think we figured out a way to make it legal. My problem right now is that I'm not sure the social platforms will allow me to give away whiskey. So worst case scenario, what we're going to do is reframe that. If we can find somebody to give dollar bills, we're going to take the sponsorship dollars from those streams, and instead of just putting it in my pocket like a smart man would do, I'm just going to give it away to y'all, right? And we may split it. I may give half to y'all. I may give all to y'all. We don't know. Depends on how much money I can get stupid people to give me to do stupid stuff with. And so we're talking about maybe, if we can't do like giving away bourbon, we may give away bourbon budget. So we may be like, build your bourbon budget. And we do like you ask questions, or you answer questions, and you work your way up to a higher and higher dollar figure. What we're trying to do though is that if that person works their way up, whatever question, whatever monetary amount they're at, if they lose, if they miss the question, we are then going to give that away to somebody in the audience watching the live stream. That's what we're trying to build towards. So I want to know y'all's thoughts on that. Does that sound fun? Is that dumb? Should we do that? Is it okay if we're just giving away money instead of bourbon? Because honestly, realistically, if I just give you dollars, you can do whatever you want with it. So I want to know, y'all. Well, Joseph, I have tried to get a liquor license in the state of Alabama, and the state of Alabama says I have to go rent a space. I have to have a physical location, and I cannot ship whiskey. So I literally have to just move to another state, which is not cool. I don't want to move. Kind of like where I'm at. So Albert just likes the talking bourbon. Understand that. So yeah. All right. I appreciate all of y'all hanging out. It's been a good time. I will catch up with y'all later. We are killing it over on YouTube. Y'all take it easy. I will see y'all on Monday. All right.